Can I get everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
We do, Mayor. We just need to remove item number 5.5. There are some changes from the applicant that they need to make to the agreement prior to bringing it back to council.
Right. Any other changes? Changes from council? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve it with the changes.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Agenda passes. Going to move on to item number 2, awards presentations, appointments, and proclamations. 2.1, receive presentation, Sports Car Club of America, SCCA, Autocross and Rallycross events at Coalinga Municipal Airport. Could you come to this one over here?
Right there.
Yeah. Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and the Council. Thank you for having us. My name is Brandon Griggs. I'm representing the Sports Car Club of America from Fresno. We are a small group of local motorsports enthusiasts looking to extend our events into Coalinga's airport. We've gotten in connection with Ulysses, a local businessman here who has put us into contact, and we have a couple of items to pitch for use of the facilities in order to have our events with you. So thank you for the opportunity. Here representing for our SCCA Autocross and Rallycross to be held at the Coalinga Airport. Sports Car Club of America is a national motorsports organization, and we've been involved in continuous operations since 1944. Today's SCCA has 65,000 members. This is nationwide and widely regarded to be the gold standard for amateur motorsports activities, as well as insurance coverage for those that is more important to. I'd like to begin by explaining what these events actually are, because the reality is that they are very much more controlled, accessible, and community friendly than a lot of people might expect. Autocross, also known as SCCA Solo, is a low-speed timed driving competition with drivers competing one at a time on a defined, well-laid-out course, entirely with traffic cones on an asphalt surface. There's no wheel-to-wheel competition going on here, no fender-to-fender or anything like that. Participants are simply trying to drive the course precisely and safely as possible. Most competitors use the same cars they drive to work every day. All of us here, for example, have lower level cars that are very much street legal and are commuters, so nothing high horsepower, crazy things going on. Before participating, each vehicle must also pass mechanical safety inspections for adherence with that, and all loose items are removed, so drivers are required to wear Snell helmets for their own personal protection. Safety is at the foundation of everything that we do. Rallycross, another sport that we would like to present onto the dirt lots, follows the same safety principles held on dirt surface, such as a graded dirt lot. Like autocross, the cars also run one at a time by themselves on a cone-defined course with speeds kept with safety marshals stationed throughout the course. One of the most important points we want to continue to make is that everything is well safely orchestrated, with our own members receiving formal training, both incident response as well as to prepare site as well as course designs ahead of time to be well operated within safety expectations. No SCCA Solo or Rally crosses can take place without an extensive insurance package, and SCCA brings the entire package fully paid for. The insurance protects the property owner, the city, the competitors, and spectators, and all participants must sign legally binding liability waivers before they allow on the course. We work closely with the host cities to ensure that all local ordinances, airport rules, operational requirements are strictly followed. Our insurance coverage per event includes $15 million for property damage liability. It's actually $15 million for all of them, including property damage, bodily injury, spectators, legal liability to participants, contractual liability, personal advertising injury, liquor liabilities, medical professional liabilities in excess, as well as $250,000 for officer stewards errors and omissions, and restricted area property damage. The city of Coalinga can also be listed as an additional insured on that insurance certificate, providing direct protection to you. Locally, Fresno SCCA has been providing safe legal outlet for car enthusiasts for more than 30 years, most of that at the Fresno Fairgrounds, but we've done all up and down the central San Joaquin Valley. And we host between 12 to 15 autocross events per year with 60 to 100 participants per event. Many of those individual participants may also be bringing extended family or friends, so one participant may be bringing quite a few more individual people into the community. We also recognize special motorsports activities and charity events. Fresno SCCA is a 100% volunteer organization. No one is paid, and our mission is safety, education, and community engagement. Beyond safety, there's a real measurable economic impact. By hosting these events, the National SCCA office estimates the average competitor spends approximately $600 each weekend. Many of us spending more than that, including fuel, meals, lodging, local purchases, and whatnot. While not every participant stays overnight, historically about half of them do for a distance of this traveling. Based on these conservative estimates for autocross of $600 for 40 participants, for the weekend we have $24,000 per weekend. 6 weekends per year, we're looking at $144,000 in revenue for the community for autocross. The same math bringing down to about $75,000 for rallycross. Equates to approximately $219,000 in annual economic impact for the city, supporting local hotels, restaurants, gas stations, and other small businesses within the community. Beyond that, we're also proposing a direct financial contribution to both the city and the community. For autocross events, we have budgeted $1,000 per day, $2,000 for the weekend. 6 weekends of $12,000 in site rental fees of revenue, plus a $500 donation per weekend to rotating lists of Coalinga nonprofit organizations for a total of $3,000 in charitable donations. On the rallycross side, $500 per day and $1,000 per weekend on the dirt lots that we are proposing, and we're looking at 5 weekends per year for about $5,000 in revenue for rental. In addition to that, also a $250 donation for the weekend for local nonprofits for an additional $1,250 in charitable donations. These donations are intended as a gesture of good faith and tangible investment in the Coalinga community, helping bridge the gap between motorsports and local causes. In closing, these events do not interfere with airport operations. They are fully insured and cost the city no dollars, and to provide a safe, controlled alternative to illegal street racing, while generating meaningful economic impact and directly supporting local nonprofit organizations. We believe Coalinga Municipal Airport is an ideal venue, and that it has a partnership would benefit both the city and our members for years to come. Thank you for your time and your consideration. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Council, have any questions?
First and foremost, it's exciting that SCCA is interested in Coalinga. I was excited to hear it. I was very proud to present it. It looked like a win-win situation. The concerns would be the use of our airport, tarmac, and the facility itself, the other partners that are already in place. What's the future look like for SCCA if it's our area is something you guys want to adopt?
Yeah, so locally, we would definitely be interested in the calendar of events that we put on here. Everything from schools, as far as a driving school or anything like that. We can do charity events. More broadly and long-term, though, we have, this is just the local chapter. At a regional level, we can do a regional event, and then including a national tour event, which would bring in upwards of 2,000 people, if that's something that is more long-term and in a venue that can handle that. But locally, we definitely start things small, and as it makes sense, and we think we can keep things operationally safe, and making sense to get into the place that we need to be at, set up, and then get out completely without leaving a trace. Whatever makes sense and whatever we can do within those constraints would be what we would be looking at.
What kind of contract have you been involved with in the past? What areas? I believe it was Fresno Fairgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And where are you operating now? How's that working? And what do you see the benefits of coming out here would be?
Yeah, currently Fresno Fairgrounds is our primary site. They've been great to work with, but there's a lot of staffing changes going on there, and there's been some push and pull with contract negotiations for renewal. It's really been the emphasis for us to find an additional place locally that we can run is what Coalinga has brought to the party. We've also worked with Castle Airport in Atwater. They have, for about 20 years, hosted events for us as well. After 9/11, a lot of the airport security requirements kind of pushed a lot of things there, and there's some airport management that didn't really like the activities that we had. They're not more motorsport friendly, but there's a long history of us running up there as well. More recently, we've just signed also with Chowchilla to run some of the dirt motorsports events that we want to be doing out there. In Fresno Fairgrounds, just so it's clear, we have both programs operating there, one on the asphalt carnival lot for autocross, and our rallycross program runs on the infield just west of there where the horse racing is done.
Again, you know, when I ran, the airport was one of the things that I highlighted. I think it's a good cornerstone of Coalinga. Development would be very important. That said, I would like to focus on it being an airport and the tarmac and the usage. So the initial run, I'm understanding you're looking at maybe a couple events utilizing the airport. At a point, where can we work together, and what can you bring as far as long-term, long lease like you had with Fresno? Would there be interest in development? We have property available and negotiations, and there's other options that would be,
Yeah.
like to look at.
Long-term, again, if it makes sense and we can continue to operate the event safely and we can attract people. We have large funding at our region level to invest in infrastructure needed for things like that if we want to establish something more long-term. With Fresno Fairgrounds, we don't have the option of really anything there. We are begging for more long-term commitments. Right now it's month to month, and we're only able to get about 6 months out. Of course, makes planning very difficult. So there would definitely be something of interest, even if it's something up close of just maybe a storage facility and a concession and basic operation things. Long-term, we're even working with other local communities with some available land that they have to look at possibly investing, concrete and more construction build out, security, restrooms and things like that to make our events a more consistent, deliverable experience that we can really invest in long-term. It's definitely on the table for things that we would be looking at to consider if it made sense for us on the number side.
Thank you very much. It's very exciting. Sounds good. Would there be any exclusivity for Coalinga? Would it be a shared event? At some point, the partnership worked out. Would it be something we'd be able to lock in and focus on? I believe 16 events a year you guys do.
Yeah.
Would we be able to host all of them?
Yeah, and we currently have every one of our events with Fresno. We've had them all with Atwater in the past. The quality of the surface that Coalinga has to offer is, I would consider, superior to both of those. So there's a really good product that we can put a good product for our drivers around, good grip without leaving any sort of damage to the cars or the site. So those are all points in that favor that would make some really good long-term sense for both parties.
Thank you. That's it for me. Appreciate it.
Any other questions from council?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's exciting to start seeing some interest in Coalinga and our airport. And I think the only thing is that for me, that's a secure area. So something long-term, I don't think would be a great idea, but if you're willing to work with another area or piece of property, I'd be on board for sure, long-term.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no requirement for it to be an airport, of course. It usually is a place that has a lot of available asphalt without poles. That happens to be owned by usually a local municipality. So it's usually the on-ramp of choice. But from my understanding, there's a lot of available land, both improved as well as just grass. From our rallycross program, that is completely a gold field for us as well. There's no need for much improvement beyond that because they're made for off-road traversing. So we're open to anything, anywhere. We're already traveling an hour from Fresno to get here. So if it's something stuck up in the hills or something also, there's a lot of, not much preference there as long as it's available.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? All right, so I really like your presentation.
Thank you.
to estimate how much, it would help the city of Coalinga and our partners, and talking about, investment, whether it be short-term or long-term, something that we could grow with as a partner. We do want to utilize the airport. We also want to preserve the airport, but we have a lot of plans for growth. So I think that, to me, I agree as well. This sounds like a great thing, and really happy that you came, to give your presentation. And do you have any questions for us?
Nothing that would consume the time of anything else, but really just more broadly of any sort of motorsports experience that might be on like the back catalog of things that have been expressed locally. Is there anything that we bring uniquely to Coalinga that's not just, more car guys? Is this something that might be something well received within the community?
I mean, we've had a company, Shift Sector, come, and they did a lot of car stuff. Now, their stuff used the actual runway, so there's a difference there in between that. So, that does go towards somewhat of preserving what we have, because I don't see that, this isn't actually using the runway, right? It's using the greater area.
Correct.
So that's different. And, but I could see, long-term, we're always looking to bring people in to grow Coalinga and have positive events. I guess one question I have is, do you have a time to where we could come and maybe view one of your events in action?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've had many city council members and their supportive staff come out and have a hell of a time, for lack of a better term, if I'm honest. You can ride with us, bring your car, we can do a technical safety inspection on it, you can run it that day. Fully covered under our insurance. You can run what you brung, and you don't have any sort of formal training needed. We can definitely get in contact with our calendar of events. It's just in Fresno, so certainly.
Okay. Could you reach out to staff and
Sure.
set up some times that way that we could
Yeah.
come out and visit you?
Yeah, we'll give you a tour and set everything up proper and show you the whole show of what it would look like from setup to completion and everything in between.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions?
Upon a successful partnership or agreement, or, us wanting to get involved, having the event short-term at the airport, if that works, what kind of window are you looking at to lock in and see, I definitely don't want to pass something up. So if there's any emphasis on that we need to know, if we, got to work faster.
We can have an event this weekend if we needed to. Because of the logistics of the way that we set up an event, it's a portable operation that shows up and is conducted, and then we go away. So the putting it together for any sort of one day, doesn't matter if it's 6 months from now or tomorrow. Our current calendar for the year is about halfway done, and we have some availability in March. If that's too soon for you guys, we then get pushed back out into June. But we're certainly eager to get maybe a pilot proof of concept to start some initial community word of mouth to get the word out. We're hoping to pull from our Cal Club, which is our Southern California region also. With Button Willow Raceway, there's quite a few SCCA members that are used to making the traversal over the Grapevine up this way. So with enough weeks and time, we can get some of that attendance to really make it a good event.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
On the developmental phase, how long out to develop a permanent spot on another piece of property?
Yeah, that would definitely, of course, be a more involved process. I wouldn't think that would be anything closer than like a year or two out. There'd be a lot of planning. Us being a nonprofit organization, there's a lot of going up the chain for cost approvals and things like that because they're earmarked for certain facilities. But I will say there is a site fund with this specific purpose in mind. But I would say somewhere in the 1 to 2 year horizon. Most of that is just going to be all the the planning and approval for the contracts and things like that. Building us out to be a permanent thing would be comparatively an easy task.
All right, thank you.
Any final questions? Seeing none? Hey, I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Mayor, if I could request, just kind of getting a consensus from the council to kind of direct staff to start working with them and kind of getting some information on maybe a early event or get with them about an event, and then also kind of looking at, just at least start exploring long-term locations and opportunities, because we do have to talk with our friends probably at the FAA as well if we're utilizing the airport. So we want to get ahead of that. We've been in constant communication with them on our other group that we're working with. So if we can just get a consensus from the council, a lot of the head works too.
So, City
to
Attorney,
move forward.
is this something that should be a future agenda item? That could be future agenda item at the end, or is consensus right now, is that okay?
Consensus is okay.
Okay. You guys okay with that? There we go. Perfect. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you and your crew coming. Thank you very much. So we're going to move on to item number 2.2, which is recognizing Councilmember Lonnie Hedgecock's service on the City Council. And can we have someone take some pictures? Yeah. All right. All right, so before we move forward, I just want to say a couple things about Lonnie. Lonnie is a get-her-done, doer type of guy. He does a lot of work behind the scenes, and he finds a task and he attacks it. And pretty much everything that he has decided to work on, he's accomplished. Been pivotal in the progress at the airport, been pivotal in making sure that we have fuel. I mean, I can't remember how many times I heard Lonnie asking Sean, do we have fuel? Right? So that airport success is going to be a lot tied to some of the work that you've done and a lot of the things that you've done in Coalinga to make Coalinga a clean place, to make Coalinga a safe place, And, you know, Kalinga is great, but to make Kalinga great again. So if I can get a round of applause for Lonnie. And we appreciate it. You're going to be missed.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to item number 3, citizens' comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the city council on any item within the jurisdiction of the council. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern, identify themselves, and use the microphone. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes. In accordance with state open meeting laws, no action will be taken by the city council this evening, and all items will be referred to staff for a follow-up and report. Citizen comments submitted in writing to the city clerk by 5 p.m. on the day of the city council meeting shall be distributed to the city council and included in the record. However, they will not be read. Is there any citizens' comments? All right, seeing none, we'll close the citizens' comments. We're going to move on to item number 4, public hearings. We have none. We're going to move on to item number 5, the consent calendar, which looks like we have 14 items because we pulled off 5.5. Is there any items that council would like to pull for clarification or for discussion?
I'd like to pull item 5.8.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll go to 5.8. John?
Sure. Do you have a specific question?
Maybe. I mean, I read some of what was up here. I just have a couple concerns with this, and they're not personal trust concerns. They're just general oversight and accountability concerns. So one of them is, the normal path would be you contact the mayor. The mayor comes in, signs the document. That's how it would normally work?
Well,
If it's a wet
not
signature or it's a
necessarily.
DocuSign.
Not
or-
necessarily. This was triggered based on the state kind of enforcing they're wanting more concrete documentation from the council related to execution of contracts, like for grants, especially like housing grants through like home or through CDBG. Because this came through Self-Help, who kind of advised us that they were starting to crack down through those agencies, but also HCD related to their requirement that the mayor signs contracts. But we have resolutions that have authorized the city manager or a designee to sign those contracts, already authorized by the council to execute. However, they're getting to be more sticklers in terms of the cities having ordinances in place to authorize the city manager to sign those contracts. So it's not something that I just arbitrarily sign. It's still something that it's already been vetted. All contracts typically go to the council anyways. So there's already authorization to sign them. It's just that now they're requiring an ordinance in place. Like for our federal grants, a lot of our street grants that we do, I sign all those documents. We have resolutions that we actually submit to Caltrans, so they see that we actually have a governing resolution that authorizes myself. It could be the assistant city manager, public works director, or designee. This is more of kind of a housekeeping item. It's kind of not really changing what we currently do.
So you can currently do it
Yes.
legally.
Yes, it's just that they're wanting more, they're wanting an ordinance, basically, from the council to authorize those signatories.
And is there, so it sounds like there's never really been any oversight over that, like the contract signing?
I don't know what you'd mean by no oversight.
Well,
It's-
it just was going off what I read. It appeared that the mayor, that would be the function of the mayor signing it more than anything, not just because he's the mayor, but, right,
Yeah,
oversight.
it's more of
So-
how the state designates as the mayor as the signatory. I mean, it's been around for a long time. I don't know if it's just something it's always been. But just for efficiency, we've always had authorization to the city manager or another designee to sign those documents.
I'm just curious, because I like, there's different levels going on here, and then I like everybody to kind of stay in their lane, we don't want anything crossing over at some point because it's something that we changed inadvertently.
No, it's not. It's pretty much standard practice for what we do now. It's just the formality of really putting an ordinance into place. So if they do ask, we can provide them the documentation, even though in most cases we have resolutions, authorization from council through minutes or through actions taken by the council at meetings. So typically, anytime I'm executing contracts, I'm going to have authorization from council to do so
Okay,
already.
thank you. That's what I needed.
Yeah, no problem.
So, question, what all does this include? Because if I read it here, it says, historically, the city has relied on the mayor's signature for execution of these documents. While this approach is compliant with the statute, it can create administrative delays when time-sensitive documents require execution, particularly when coordinating with external agencies, grant administrators, and funding partners. So, even though I'm not against this, I do have the same concerns that there is some type of check and a balance for these types of things. And nothing against you, but I've seen lots of contracts. In fact, the contract tonight from Gladstone I looked at, and it had errors in it. And that's why I think that it's a good idea to have other people look at them and not just send them over and have someone sign them, because and it's not about not trusting, it's just about having a second set of eyes, and I think it works with the check and the balance, the reason that it's there. So I guess my question is, what type of documents will this pertain to?
It's going to pertain to particular, and it's probably more contracts that we're signing through CDBG. I don't think it really has to do with some of our other typical contracts that we sign. It's primarily geared to contracts that are overseen by the Department of Housing and Community Development. Did you want to add something, Nick?
Yeah, that's correct. And I've seen this in other cities where they're not accepting the resolutions anymore. They're actually asking for the ordinance. So instead of having a resolution saying, the city manager or his designee can sign it, they're going away from that and requiring that an ordinance be in place.
So in this document, does it describe exactly which documents that this is going to fall under? Or is it kind of like a blanket?
I can look at the ordinance.
Because if it's only going to be the CDBG stuff and the housing stuff, then I would like to limit it to that. Because, I mean, I can understand where that stuff would be more of a housekeeping item, where staff has worked with the grants and stuff like that. And a lot of that stuff, we've already approved it and whatnot. But, I just want to make sure that we're not, even for future councils, taking away something that we should have for a check and a balance.
So if council would like, council can amend the ordinance. It looks like it'd be under section 2 to specifically narrow it to those, CDBG contracts or agreements, if that's council's desire.
I think that'd be a pertinent thing to do, because then we would pinpoint exactly what we're agreeing to, rather than a blanket a scenario where later on we could find that we didn't.
And would that cover your needs for efficiency and
Yeah, I mean,
have it limited to that?
in reality, like I said, all contracts come to the city council for approval. So once we approve that contract, just like even the one we pulled tonight, if that was approved, I would sign the contract. And that's based on authorization by the council. It's been published, it's been reviewed by the council, so you know what I'm signing. If there's any changes to that contract, we would definitely either do that at the meeting, or we would bring it back if there's any substance, or verify with the attorney if there's any major substantive changes, but there could be grammar changes that's not going to change the substance of the contract, where we could make those changes if they're discovered last minute. But for the most part, you guys are approving all the contracts that I sign. So these are just ones that, if we're awarded a grant, and a lot of times, we receive standard agreements from the state and the feds. There's really no negotiation with the state when it comes to their standard contracts. So, we send them over to the city attorney's office, and pretty much they look good because there's not really a back and forth you have with the state because there's standard contracts they use with every awardee. So that's why when you see us get awards for grants, you're authorizing me through that resolution to execute any documents or contracts related to that grant award. Because there's no changes to those contracts that we receive from the state. They're standard contracts they use.
So what would council like to do?
We could change it like Mayor Vosberger would like, and if we need to redo it at some other point, we can always bring it back. I mean, it's pretty simple. If it's already all being handled, and that's something we need to do, so the city manager can take care of business, let him take care of business. If it needs to get changed because something's not working, we change it again.
Yeah.
I agree to a point on that. I mean, we don't want to open the door wide open and then try to rein it in. So maybe just what he needs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
We can just narrow it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
we'll narrow it. What we can do is we can narrow it, make the change, and then think we can bring it back on the second reading, right?
Correct.
So we'll just bring it back. Let's come back for a second reading. You guys can review it, and then we can adopt it at the next meeting.
Is everyone okay with that? All right. Anything else, any council members would like pulled off the consent calendar for discussion or comment? Questions? Seeing none, can I entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar minus number 5 and with the changes for number 5.8?
I'll motion to approve the consent calendar minus 5.5 with changes to 5.8.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The consent calendar passes. Going to move on to item number 6, which is ordinance presentation, discussion, and potential action items. 6.1 is presentation and discussion of proposed cannabis ordinance overhaul, repeal and replace framework.
All right, thank you. Mayor and council, tonight we're just asking that you receive and then we can discuss the presentation regarding the proposed comprehensive kind of overhaul of the city's cannabis ordinances and provide policy direction to staff on any desired changes, priorities, or concerns prior to preparing the final repeal and replace ordinance for formal consideration. Because it is a land use change in the zoning code, it does require, processing through planning commission as well as through council, so it's a lengthy process. So we want to make sure that we have kind of proper guidance from the council prior to moving forward with that hearing process. The city currently regulates commercial cannabis activities through multiple ordinances and sections of the municipal code that were adopted incrementally over time. As state cannabis laws, regulatory agencies, and industry practices have evolved, portions of the city code have become duplicative, outdated, and just internally inconsistent. To address this, the city has engaged with SCI Consulting Group to review the existing regulatory framework and prepare a consolidated, more modernized ordinance structure that improves the clarity, enforceability, and at best, the administrative efficiency of processing applications. Because as of right now, we've got a pretty arduous process for processing cannabis permits. And so I provide a little bit of an overview on the proposed changes, but I do have, and I hope Kyle or David or both are on Zoom, who plan to provide a presentation, kind of give you guys a summary. So instead of a bunch of words, we're going to provide a little bit of an update in terms of what we are looking at changing in terms of the regulatory framework. So, David?
Here, I'm not sure if everyone can see the slide here.
We can. Volume's a little low, too.
Okay, I'll talk a little louder. So
Robert will be able to
I'm going to be running through. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go through a little background on how we got here. I'm going to go through the overview of the major changes, go section by section.
Hold on 1 second, David. I think your volume's pretty low, but I can see Robert's mouse scrambling, so maybe he's trying to get the volume up.
Okay, I thought it was maybe my mic, but I think it's probably just the volume.
Go ahead and, ahead.
Agenda.
I think that's better.
Okay. So I'm going to go through the background of how we got here, right? Where the medical and the kind of history in Coalinga, overview of the changes. I'm going to go section by section, starting with the activities, and then running through kind of what were some of the changes we had to make based on the state, and then the benefits to the city based on these changes, and then round it out with some next steps on the repeal and replace process, and finish it out with questions. So going on with kind of how we got here, my understanding there was a prison closure, and then we had the medical cannabis approved. Prison was sold in 2016. And then we had retail authorized by Measure G. And now in 2024, we're looking to modernize this 2016, 2017 era set of ordinances. So what was it like before? We had two ordinances, one that dealt with retail. That was front of mind, it seems. And then the second one was dealing with everything else. And most jurisdictions deal with all of them, right, in one ordinance, or has retail as a subsection with additional requirements. And so with these conflicting ordinances, it kind of left some regulations that retailers had to deal with that the other folks didn't, that wasn't uniform and wasn't necessary because a lot of the requirements are standard, and then there's a few additional ones based on the types. It created some enforcement challenges with the state versus locals, and there was some language specifically around manufacturing that's just kind of outdated and didn't fit with the current terminology. And so the purpose, we wanted to create a unified, clear, enforceable ordinance aligned with the modern state law that we have today. So we harmonized it. We created 4 different sections that I'm going to run through. We removed the outdated rules, and we created a clean foundation for any future local policy decisions that could happen as federal legalization, potentially could happen, and all of that. It sets it in a 2026 kind of model. So we eliminated the dual ordinance with the 2 separate ones for no reason. It's all under one ordinance, and it consolidates some of the requirements so that folks aren't as confused and creates one source of truth. So there's a few definitions that were restated in the state law that we took out as well. A lot of these definitions, just over the years, the state has changed it little by little. And so the locals weren't keeping up with that because it wasn't necessary, but in one sweep, we're able to fix all of that. So what are the 4 sections here? We've got an application and permit process, which is pretty standard in jurisdictions. General or operational requirements for all licensees instead of having one set of requirements for retailers and then a duplicative but slightly different version for somebody else. It sets one set, everybody's got to deal with them. And then third, security. Security is huge for these kinds of businesses, right? So we wanted to have that as its own separate section because about a third of these regulations have to do with security. So it makes more sense to have its own section. And then the last section, activity specific. So if it's manufacturing, if it's cultivation, if it's retail, there's different regulations. They all live in their own section that spells out exactly, if you're a cultivator, what you have to do differently, instead of having to kind of sort through which these regulations have to deal more with cultivation or not. On the application, we consolidated the CUP and regulatory permit process. There's in these next steps, one of them has to deal with a new application process that's streamlined. So these changes are going to be useful there. There were some employee requirements that we streamlined as well, and we eliminated a separate process for retail that, because they had these two different ordinances, was there before. For general operational requirements, most of those we just standardized and took somewhat what the state had as a guide, but really just tried to take as many of the things that were Coalinga specific and keep those. A lot of those have to do with odor and wastewater and those kind of environmental situations. On security, we updated some of the terminology for cameras and the alarms. We kept a lot of the same stuff around access control and the security patrol expectations. And then that'll lead us to the license specific, the use specific regulations. So retail and lounges we have in their own section because they are tightly connected. Lounges are kind of an extension of a retail purpose. And so we created a standalone section for these retail specific purposes and removed duplicative provisions. For manufacturing, there were some outdated terminology that we fixed up around volatile extraction. And then there were some rules around distribution that were from a kind of medical time frame that had changed on the state level that we fixed as well. And then there's a standalone section for micro businesses in case somebody decides to kind of get into that space, because that was a newer thing back when this ordinance was adopted, where now there's a lot of them across the state and there's different models for them. So it's something that hopefully, like microbreweries, will continue to grow as the industry grows. Again, on some of these state requirements, there's different codes that from the DCC that now, or back in the day was the BCC. Some of the bills are not what they are now or have been replaced. And some of the health and safety code sections have been updated on the state level. And there were some regulations on the local level that were duplicative of the state and really didn't add anything. So we took those out as well. And we tried to keep as much that was city specific, which around track and trace specifically, there was nothing. Benefits to the city. This makes everybody's lives easier going forward. As I was saying, there were duplicative rules, and there was a lot of questions as to how do we deal with this today versus when it was written. For operators, there's a more clear, predictable set of requirements. It's a modern ordinance that makes more sense for the kinds of businesses that are operating in different jurisdictions who would notice that kind of thing. Say, well, why in this jurisdiction does, the regulations for general operations look like this, and in this jurisdiction you guys have one set of things for retailers and one set of things for everybody else. So we're hoping that that's going to potentially be attractive to operators and reduce confusion in some of the administrative issues that operators might deal with the ordinance as it is, and with the state regulations that are in the ordinance but are not the exact way the state has them now. So moving on to next steps, and obviously we'll have plenty of questions on this, I'm sure, from council, but we've got discussion and kind of direction on any edits or policy adjustments we want to do in this repeal and replace before we draft the repeal and the replace. So we'll try to get as much of that from this meeting, and then obviously in the coming days, and then we would prepare that ordinance in collaboration and then have legal review and move forward with kind of a scheduling for adoption. Incumbent in that, we'd want to try to figure out some of these forms and updating based on suggestions, how to get that off the ground as soon as possible once the adoption is scheduled. We'd want to do that kind of in tandem so that when the ordinance gets replaced, there'd be a new set of forms for the operators to be able to have potentially a preview of before it gets replaced as well. I think we've got a lot of that figured out. We figured out a way to kind of streamline. There were 2 applications. I think we could deal with only 1 now if we did it correctly. And some of the workflows based on a unified ordinance would be easier, along with the inspection protocols. So that's a lot. If you want me to go back to any of these slides, happy to go back and review any questions. But that's what I've got for you today.
Thanks, David. I wanted to just add that the purpose for discussion tonight is just for the council to bring forward any concerns or questions you have regarding our current operations. I know we don't have a draft ordinance yet, but it's kind of a high-level discussion about kind of what our framework is to just consolidate it. We're not really trying to change any of the regulations that really have been in place for all these years. It's really, as David mentioned, just trying to clean it up, make it look clear for applicants, because it has gotten very convoluted over the years with all the changes the state has gone through. And so we want to make it easier for applicants to go through the process and just to help with staff time, because it does take a lot of staff time. There's a lot of duplicative type of work that's being done. So with that, just any comments, questions that we can convey, you'd like to convey to the team, so we can ensure that these things are incorporated as we can make changes if there are. So Mayor,
So let me first let the public know that anyone who would like to talk on this, we have discussion cards over to the far right. We're going to open it up to council first, and then if there's discussion cards, we'll open it up to the public. Anyone on council have any questions, comments, concerns?
I hear a lot of stuff about why we're changing the way it's set up. I just want to make sure that the new council makes sure that all the stuff in the ordinance, when the ordinance actually comes out, is the best for the city. You all know my opinion on marijuana. I'm not a big fan. So, you know, do what's best for Coalinga, not for the businesses that are not paying taxes to the city, because we've already had issues with that, with this industry.
Anyone else?
I think it's important to trim the fat, definitely, from 16 to 24. Cannabis industry has come a long way. I think it's important to be careful, though. It's forever changing. It's going to keep changing. Ease probably is just going to keep increasing. So I just, the concern for, like Lonnie said, I'm a little more loose than Lonnie. I understand there's a benefit to the city financially, so just keep it easy. That's about of it.
I think one of my main concerns is that nothing is inadvertently changed as far as how the ordinances and regulations are. But I'm curious, so the way I understand it is you've removed anything that has to do with the state regulation, so we could just, ours just refers to the state, and then we don't have to worry about keeping it updated that way?
answer that.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to describe it is initially, I think folks wanted to kind of put what the state had in local regulations. Maybe there was a worry that the state would change. And it's been so many years now that the only changes that have really happened have been clarifications for the most part. And so in the same vein, we looked at what the state had. We looked at security and all the standard operating procedures that you're required to have, you know, operate one of those businesses. And there were certain things that the city had additional requirements for. And so we kept all of those. There's not a single thing in there that was an additional requirement from the state that we did, took or loosened or anything like that. It were different operational, like around cameras and such, that have been the rules since 2017, haven't changed, and are hardwired into the ordinance in a certain way because of how we cite them from the state regulations. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're basically trying to, for our ordinance purposes, explain what the city of Coalinga needs in addition to the state, because the applicants have to apply to the state for a state license as well on top of a local permit. They have to meet all the state requirements in order for them to get a state license. So we understand that if they're capable of getting a state license, they're complying with state regulation. And then on top of it, they're adding a layer of what we require in our ordinance to their project or to their development, to ensure they meet our local requirements. It's kind of like, I guess I use the analogy of like the building code, that if we can add additional criteria and make it more stringent on the building code, we can't make it easier, but the plans that we receive should at least match what the state building code is, and if we have any additional requirements, we'll ensure those are addressed as well. So, yeah, we're taking it out, but they're essentially inherently referenced. Yeah.
That makes sense. And then last thing, and I think Lonnie or I think it was touched on by somebody, is the tax thing in the past. I mean, we've had a lot of problems with this type of business coming in, running, and then being delinquent, and then leaving, and we're left holding the bag. So it's not really a benefit to the community in any way. Is that something that could go into this, or is that something totally different?
Well, it looks like David's going to answer. We do have I know we do have language in the code related to taxes. Not specifically the rate, we do have that too, but they're all, in terms of compliance and paying, we have that as well.
Yeah, I think an idea that could be useful is around a surety bond. The state has it, the amount could be an additional thing, right? That could be due to the city. And so they already are getting one of those for the state. I think you could put a requirement, decide the dollar amount, be it 50,000, 100,000, whatever, to set some amount of money that you've got on a surety level in case the dynamic you're explaining, right? So there are different requirements that could be added on there to give the city that. We were looking just at this simplification side of it, but on other, recommendations, we could look at something around that and put that around for the council to take a look at it.
And we do have a surety bond requirement now, but it's strictly related.
But it could be higher.
But it's related to code enforcement. So if it's like, it's really specific to what, like if they shut down, it's not geared towards collection of past taxes, but or licensing fees, but it's basically if we have to dispose of all their materials or that's where that surety bond comes in. So I think we can expand upon that, and we can definitely ensure that, and if we can work with the city attorney to ensure what kind of surety bond that would look like. But so we can it's almost like an insurance policy for X amount of dollars and it can be related to delinquent taxes, licensing fees.
Rejected taxes or something like that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd like to see that. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, so first off, thanks for coming. And, thanks for keeping up on this. I know there has been, unfortunately, this industry is dying. It's dying at all levels, much of which is the fault of the state. The state has decided they're going to raise the taxes on these places to rates that they can't afford. They've decided that they're going to change whether or not the arm's reach tax is applied at certain places. They've decided that they're going to mess with the different license types. You've had a lot of change in the industry where people were not able to keep up because they owed taxes and they owed to different industry partners, and a lot of them left their partners on the hook, and those places went under. And so now we're in a situation to where, we've had more people leave than stay, and because of that, now we have that situation where we have them not being able to pay their taxes. And I've talked to the state umpteen times about this, and one of the biggest issues is the state deciding to turn a blind eye to the black market, which means that basically people can pop up in Fresno, they can pop up anywhere they want, and there's really no consequences for them. They say there is, but there's not. And this happens all over the place, and so now what started off as a lot of the people choosing the legal pathway, now you see this stuff right back on the street because of, I believe, because of the state. Now, because of that, some people that may have been good actors have turned into bad actors because they couldn't pay. And so that's a big concern for us at the city, is for people that can't pay. Now, that being said, my main things is that we want to deter crime via break-ins. We've had a couple companies who it just seems like have had multiple break-ins over and over again, and the people ended up getting away with it. And that kind of boggles my mind, especially with the security protocols that we have in place already. So I'd like to look at those because my important thing is deterring crime from break-ins, keeping out the bad actors, and that being said, that makes a better city, and that makes our city safer. But at the same time, I want to look for improvements that we can offer our partners that would come in and would operate legally and would have something like an surety bond to make sure that they're going to pay. And if they don't, we need to really have a robust timeline on how long that we're going to allow them to not pay before we send and we revoke their license and send it to the state and tell the state that we've revoked their license. We can no longer afford to budget on things that aren't going to come true. And that's not saying that the entire industry in Coalinga has been this way, but it's been a downhill slope. And so one of the other things I'd like to look at is I'd like you to look at our taxes and our license fees. The taxes and license fees, to make sure they're in line with our neighbors and the places that are closest to us. To make sure that we are doing the best job to making sure that we can have good partners. And then I want to look at how that streamlining some of these events lower city costs, and if some of those city costs aren't taken into consideration when we're looking at the license fees, and then because if we have the ordinance and we have a couple different places running, that's okay. But if we have places that come in and they don't pay, then that doesn't really serve a good benefit to the city. And unfortunately, then that makes, the city the bad guy, having to kick them out. So I'm looking at this as an all-around approach of what can we do to make this better for our city, make it safer for our city, but at the same time offering improvements for those that would like to come in. I know that was a lot to take in. It is recorded on YouTube, though, so you can go back and listen if need be.
So can I clarify just
Yes.
real quick? Were you saying that, to offer tax incentives to encourage bondholders? Is that
Well,
what you're leading?
I think I'm looking for, to look at our tax rates to make sure that our tax rates are in line, and to make sure that our license fees are in line with other places around us, because I think we're not having a lot of people want to come because of that. And I think that also the people that may be willing to come, that look at this, so there's a group of people that is good business owners, and they're going to look at it and they're going to say, hey, if your taxes and fees are too high, we're not coming. And then there may be looking at people that are bad actors that say, hey, we'll come regardless because we're never going to pay. So I just want to get a good all-around approach and say, hey, let's make sure that we get good people, but that we keep the safety and security of our people here. That way we can we can attempt to mitigate break-ins like we've had in the past. and we can attempt to mitigate people not paying their bill. But at the same time, we're going to invite, you know, a broader spectrum of people in because we're going to do those things. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. I think that would be another next step here for us. And then I heard something around kind of a fee assessment is kind of usually what that looks like, a review of the fee on the cannabis license fee.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to streamline some things, then, and the city's going to do less, but we're going to have other things that may be automated or may be done, watched by SCI or other agencies, then maybe we can work on those fees. The real goal is just to make sure that we're being, you know, we're being good business partners, but at the same thing, we're going to require good business partners. We don't, you know, and it's not like everyone's not been a good partner, but there's been a lot of frustration.
Mayor, I think what we can do, taxes definitely is something we can look at during this process. I mean, I know that SCI, they are very well connected into the industry in terms of understanding the industry. Our tax rate structure, it's capped at a percentage, but it can always go lower if there's recommendations of it saying, hey, we're way too high. Those can be adjusted as long as they go down, without having any kind of implication on like what's been approved by the voters. However, when it comes to fees, as we know, fees have to go through a fee study. So what we can do is once we get the ordinance in place and understand what the process is going to look like, we can work with SCI. SCI has actually helped us with our previous fee study. They do fee studies. I think they still do fee studies. And so they may be able to help us once we get this in place to actually do, as kind of a secondary project, is to do a fee study and look directly at our cannabis fees based on kind of the time it takes to process with this new streamlined process. We can bring that back to you guys as well to look at that.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to put in on this? I heard you loud and clear, Lonnie.
No, I'd just like to say that I have my views on this too. But the fact of the matter is that these are businesses in Coalinga, and we do need to partner with them and try to make them successful. So.
Any other questions from council before I open it up to the public? No? Do we have any comment cards? No? Seeing none? Last chance for comment cards. Anyone want to turn one in and talk about this? All right, if not, do you have direction?
Good.
Perfect. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for attending. And if you can continue to work with staff to bring up something to bring back to us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Okay. We're going to move on to our favorite section. We're going to have Mr. Bergman. City Council adoption of Resolution 4305, establishing a gas enterprise capital improvement and rate stabilization fund, adopt policies governing both funds, and amend the city's gas purchase policy to incorporate rate stabilization and capital improvement. Dan?
As Dan's walking up, just this is kind of a follow-up item from our gas rate discussions, and so Dan will go ahead and present and kind of provide you some background on all of the documents and the resolutions that you guys will be requested to approve tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. At your request and in the spirit of better management, in this case of the gas enterprise, we are bringing forth proposed capital improvement funds and rate stabilization funds for natural gas. When I sat down to formulate this, at first I was thinking of it as something separate from the gas purchase policy, and a lesson that we've all learned over time is to try to keep things as simple as possible. So what I realize is we need to have a gas enterprise fund policy that bundles all of this together. So the gas purchase policy is now incorporated into this gas enterprise fund policy. So it's the two asset funds that I'm going to talk about, plus the gas purchase policy that we've talked about in the past. Moving through the resolution here, one of the first things I want to point out in the recitals, that again, it's the intent of this natural gas enterprise policy now to be reviewed annually, as is written into it, but that there is an expectation that modifications will be made annually as circumstances change. That's okay, and that's a good thing. And I just want to emphasize that. With regard to capital improvement and rate stabilization funds, the resolution names them. They will have distinct asset numbers in the city's accounting system, and that I confirmed with my finance director. Transfers into the fund will be approved by you, and that can be done in conjunction, if at no other time, with the annual reviews that we do, because we're looking at where we stand financially each summer in the gas enterprise. The sources of funds that are transferred in can either be net operating revenue, when we have some, or revenue from rates that might be set deliberately to go into either capital improvement or rate stabilization. And in the same way that funds are approved by you to go in, they would be approved by you to come out to be used. One thing I need to add that I suppose is obvious, the resolution doesn't provide funds, it just sets up the structure. So first, talking about capital improvement, again, to clarify, and this does clarify, this is for capital improvement, so items that are assets, not for operating expenses, like the anode beds. The resolution goes on to suggest initial funding for the capital improvement at $250,000 per year. And I had noted that with regard to the anode beds that we've talked about that need to be replaced, we were hoping for $100,000 each, and today we know it's $114,000, which isn't too far off. So that is, those quotes came in today, and so that's in the process of being awarded, and those first 2 anode beds for the gas system will be replaced in the next few months. So that will be getting done. With regard to rate stabilization, I'm recommending a total funding level of just $250,000. And I'm suggesting that that's okay, because as long as you're buying 80% of your gas supply before winter, we're protected from volatility that can happen in the wintertime. It's based on 25% of spending $1 million for wholesale gas each winter. Each year, the total year is $1 million. With regard to the gas purchase policy, the significant change that I'm proposing is to remove the 3-year purchase approach. Because of the way the market's been trending, now 3 years, because this winter again, where we have responsibly and carefully purchased gas ahead up in the $5 range, the market in January is at $3.50. So we do that in advance to protect ourselves from the market spiking, but when it doesn't get really cold across a lot of the country, the market goes the other way. So before we get to next winter, and as we move through summer, I might work with staff about an approach that provides more opportunity to take advantage of lower winter prices. Of course, in order to do that, we take some risk. And the question will be, that might eventually come back to you, is how much more risk, City Council, would you be willing to take to benefit from $3.50 gas instead of $5 gas? So in the gas purchase policy, I pulled out the 3-year requirement, because for 3 years now, since the cold winter, we're responsibly buying gas that's proving to be more expensive than what the market offers when we get into winter. Finally, with regard to annual reporting, and this is again where it's a nice fit with gas purchase policies, items 4, 5, 6, and 7 items 4, 5, and 6, that in the annual reporting, you are being told the balance of the rate stabilization fund and activity during the year. Similarly, the balance of the capital improvement fund and any activity during the year, and recommended transfers or funding rates for both of those funds. So the activity and management of the two funds that are being established is happening at the same time as gas purchase activity and other reporting around the gas enterprise. And that's it. Thank you.
Questions from council?
I just have a quick clarification. You said the rate stabilization fund was 250K? Not the it says 500 here, so I just wanted to be sure.
You know,
Well, it's on this, whatever.
on the resolution that you're saying,
Oh, there may have been an error on the staff report.
Okay.
well, I thought, so what is it that they're going to authorize? Is it different than what?
250.
So it is going to be 250.
Well, City Council, I want to recommend that you make it 500, because I thought that's what I had done.
It
And the
says 500.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the reason I changed it from 250 to 500, which you're saying and I'm not, which is strange, is that making it 250 for 2 years, it covers you so that in the second year you can catch up.
It's the quarter for 2 years, right?
Yeah, it's for two.
Total for 2.
And I thought about that later, so,
It says
then-
500 in the staff report. I think it's 250 in the resolution. So I think
yeah.
it may just not be the updated resolution, Dan. So we can amend the resolution to be 500.
I recommend that.
And the capital improvement stays at 250?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions from council? Any comment cards from the public? No? All right. Well, Dan, this is going to be the easiest time that you've been in and out of here because I love it. You've executed it perfect for what we asked, and I very much appreciate that. There's a lot of work that you and staff and everyone's put into this, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, so do we need to vote? Yeah?
Yes.
Roll call vote or just a roll call vote?
With the amendment to the resolution, if that's what council desires.
Can I entertain a motion?
Amendment be the quantity?
Yeah, the 500,000 for the rate stabilization fund.
So it would be a change to section 7 of the agreement, or the resolution.
So I move to adopt a resolution 4305 with the changes to section 7.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Schindler,
Aye.
Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Councilman Louder,
Aye.
Mayor Vosberg.
And I also vote aye. I just want to tell the public, this will be a good thing for us in the future to stabilize the gas rates and to make sure that we get the infrastructure fixed. Now, obviously, we still have to fund it, like Dan had stated, and we will. And so I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. We'll move on to item number 4. Provide direction to staff regarding the submission of regional, what? Did I skip 3? Oh. Here, I thought.
It's weird
I
on
thought
there.
I was working together here. Presentation, discussion, potential action, Clean City Initiative, Code Enforcement and Abatement Strategy.
Thought I was off the hook. Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're bringing this to you based on your direction for the city staff to create a Clean City Initiative. So what you'll see here is a background and discussion items, and then you'll have a couple of options at the end. So I'll try to be quick as I run through this, but please stop me if you have any questions. So the background is the council has directed staff to come back with a community cleanliness and property maintenance type of initiative. That way we can make the city pretty again. We did, by ordinance, adopt the 2024 International Property Maintenance Code at the council's direction, which will give the code enforcement section a little bit more ability to enforce code enforcement as the council sees fit. So we're not suggesting that we go out and start enforcing additional things without council's direction, but just we have the ability now that we've adopted this additional property maintenance code. IPMC does codify minimum habitability, exterior maintenance standards, and takes some of the ambiguity out of the enforcement. So if there's no discussion on that, I'll move on to discussion. We put together a plan, four-headed plan that starts with what I like to call low-hanging fruit. We have, I want to say, at least 6, possibly 8 burned and unsafe structures in the city. The code enforcement and public works and building section intend to, well, along with fire and legal, to continue to abate the properties that we can, and then also seek compliance.
Sorry, I wasn't able to.
And also seek compliance through other methods for the burned out structures that don't have current abatement procedures or proceedings underway. So just kind of in layman's terms, we're just trying to clean the city up. You know, we know we have some burned out structures. We want to just do our best to make it look good. So there will be some upfront costs with abatement. We are working through that with the city attorney, and we will bring that back to council once we have some finalized numbers for your approval prior to those actions. But those efforts are still underway. So we hope to come back to you with numbers soon.
And just to add to that, we've essentially, I know I think we have about $50,000 budgeted in this current budget. We had some conversations, I think, early on in the budget process about how we have to have some upfront money to be able to undertake these efforts. However, once that occurs, it doesn't guarantee we get the money back like tomorrow. We send bills to these folks if we have to demolish a home or if we have to do additional treatment to a home. We'll send a bill, tell them to pay. If they don't pay, then we have to go through a separate process for either liening the property. And so we understand, I think when we had this conversation before, how much are we willing to, budget to be able to undertake these expenses, knowing it may not come back in that same fiscal year, it may not come back for multiple years. So we have to be prepared for that in order to address these issues because there are costs associated with that. But as Jesse mentioned, we're going to continue to kind of get more of a cost based on the grand scheme of all these homes and say, hey, this is what we need to be able to undertake these efforts. If through enforcement efforts, the owners don't actually either rehab or demolish the structures. So we'll be back and maybe have it as soon as mid-year, and we can just do it as part of a mid-year adjustment when we come back in probably February. Go ahead, Jesse.
No problem. So removal of these structures, we expect that to have a immediate impact on the neighborhoods. So some of these burned out homes are just a blight on the neighborhood. They're attractive nuisances. They're attracting crime. So low hanging fruit, like we're saying. So additionally, we want to enhance our code enforcement strategy. Obviously, with direction from the council. So we've offered some categories in which we intend to prioritize, but obviously we would like your feedback. The Clean City Initiative we can do this almost any way you want. But like I said, low-hanging fruit, we all drive down the street, we can see accumulation of trash and debris in these front yards, side yards, backyards, boarded and unsecured residences, unmaintained and dead landscaping, vehicles parked or on jacks in the front yard, on dirt. So we're just intending to kind of go through and use common sense and try to enforce by category and geographic area to ensure both consistent citywide coverage. And, this is going to be a slow roll, so we're not going to be able to go out there and save the world in one day. We intend to kind of roll this out slowly, have the community socialize to it. We would like, it's coming up in a little bit, we intend to put a mailer out, put a lot of communication through social media, get some community buy-in, get the community engaged, get our nonprofits engaged, and make this more of a community effort rather than just a targeted code enforcement strategy. So really bringing the community together to clean it up. So that's what we're intending. Again, my low-hanging fruit analogy. So community notification and outreach, like I was saying, we do have a mailer we would like to send out. It's around a $5,000 to $7,000 initial cost. It would be a postcard size. I actually have a example here. So when I was in East Palo Alto, we sent that out, and tremendous response. Not all positive, but getting the citizens socialized to the idea that increased enforcement is coming, I think, is key. We don't want to penalize anybody. We don't want to. We just want the city cleaned up, right? So, what's the best way to do that is to communicate, and we feel like this would be a good start. Where was I? So implementation and staffing. The initiative will be implemented using the existing staff and authority. We intend to make our workflows more efficient, to be able to send out better notifications to offending properties. And we will track and report back to council a number of violations addressed, compliance rates, abatement actions completed, and community feedback, depending on council's direction tonight. So at this point, you have a couple, many alternatives, but two definite alternatives. You can direct us to implement this Clean City Initiative, or you can direct us not to implement this Clean City Initiative, or anywhere in between. So it's really all I guess I should speak on the fiscal impact. The initial impact, we only anticipate that $5,000 to $7,000 for that mailer. I think in this day and age, a lot of communications done via social media, via our Watchfire sign on 5th Street. There's a lot of different ways to get the message out there. We intend to use as many of them as we can. This would just be an additional layer of communication that for people that don't use social media, don't drive down the street, or what have you. So that's my presentation.
Thank you. Questions from council?
This is some near dear to my heart, especially the burned structures. Risk to reward. We are paying for it to start. Tear down these buildings. At what point we put a lien on their property? We're stuck with the bill at that point if it's something crazy. What kind of procedures, steps are in place to prevent debt basically being incurred and being stuck with the property basically have to give away?
Right. There's no guarantee that we're going to be able to recoup these costs. So at some point, there is a little bit of risk for the city that we may get stuck with the abatement costs. I don't know, Sean, if you want to elaborate on that a little bit.
No, I think there is an inherent risk in having to go through that formal process. There is the lien process, which you're basically acquiring an asset that has some type of value that you may have to, we may end up owning some of these vacant lots once we've demolished them. And then you'd be looking at having to, either sell the lot, down the road. But that's kind of the inherent risk associated with having to go through those abatement proceedings, because the lien process is really the ideal process to be able to at least put some type of leverage on the property itself.
I think the high number on it would be at any point you're demoing a burnt building, you're forcing the resident on a lien. They're potentially and most likely took their insurance money and moved away. So the concern is there. The burnt buildings around town, it's definitely an issue that needs to be addressed. I just think the procedures, steps in the abatement process, I guess there's nothing you really do as far as pre-steps before we move forward on doing something like an lien or something.
It is a multi-year process to go through and abate and demo a structure, especially a single-family residence. So none of this is entered into lightly. The city attorney is thoroughly vetting all actions with the fire marshal involved. There's a lot of eyes on this. It's the last thing we want to do is take someone's house and tear it down. But at the same time, you know, if we're leaving an open structure where crime can be happening and, you know, it's in the middle of our neighborhoods and, you know, it's putting our kids in danger, putting our families in danger, at some point we have to act. So I agree there is some risk involved, but that's the code enforcement process.
And I know there's constant communication with the property owners. We reach out, we try to do whatever we can do to help or assist them to get to that point where they can utilize hopefully their insurance money if they're rebuilding, encourage them to rebuild. I know we've got a couple, I think maybe one that's being rebuilt right now. But whatever we can do, we try to work with the property owners as much as possible, stay in contact with them, and that'll be kind of our MO moving forward too. Yeah, we don't want to have to undertake the cost if we don't have to. It's kind of the last resort. But it just seems to always be a long, drawn-out process trying to get these things abated. But when we come back with like the actual funding costs, we'll kind of be able to give you guys an update on kind of where these properties are, and then kind of associate those costs to what the actions we're going to be taking on.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it risk. I would call it cost, because most of these lots that these homes are sitting on, even if you did attach them somehow, they're not even worth the cost of the cleanup. It's hazmat. So, you know, what we're agreeing to here is to spend a lot of money to clean these up because people took insurance money and they left. How do we get here? Like, I know a house burns down, but how do we get to the person getting paid insurance money and leaving and not cleaning up their home and their lot? Is there any way that you can get money from the insurance, or you could require a homeowner to pay that if their house burns down before they leave, rebuild, or whatever?
We continue, I mean, during that process, they're going to be receiving fines if they're taking too long. I mean, they're going to be receiving, we can leverage it with fines, but there's really no way to pull money out of that individual.
I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 9 times out of 10, there's an insurance settlement somewhere that probably doesn't obviously cover rebuilding, cleaning up the
Yeah.
home, not to mention rebuilding.
I don't know if there's any way going after an insurance company for something
I
like that.
haven't seen that before, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so this is a problem everywhere. The city, something burns down, then it sits there, then the people of the city have to pay to get it cleaned up.
Right, the city fronts the money.
Yeah, well, I mean, the front, this pay, you're not gonna get it back. Let's just be honest. So we should at least be honest about what we're talking about here. It's an investment in clean, and I'm all for it, but let's call it what it is. It's gonna be expensive.
Yes, sir. The two properties that we're currently considering the abatement proceedings on would be infill lots. Presumably, they would sell. I mean, it would be just the land value without the improvements, so we wouldn't be at a total loss, but agreed, it probably wouldn't cover the entirety of the abatement process, so you're correct.
So, question, can we do, as soon as we have, can we create an ordinance that the second a house burns, that we immediately start the process of a lien? Because we know that these places don't pay. We know that they take the insurance money, so we start the process of a lien immediately. The way you can get out of a lien is you can fix your property.
It's pretty common.
I think we move immediately on that. I don't see people that are rebuilding. I see people that are taking their insurance money and leaving. And I don't think it's right that the taxpayers get stuck on that.
Take a look. I don't know.
Okay.
So maybe we can look at that. And then 2, I would like to make sure that every single one of these that council approves, it needs to come before the council, and it needs to become from the residents so the citizens can see how much money that we're going to spend on this, because we've talked about this before. And we've made decisions based on the fact that it was not going to be advantageous to the taxpayer. It was going to be not good. But on the other end, you have a great point. Like, we don't want to, these neighborhoods suffer because of that. Their neighbors suffer. And unfortunately, far too many times, it's because somebody that doesn't even live here owns the property, someone causes a fire, and then that person gets the insurance company money, and they don't care. They don't live here. They don't care. And we've actually had people offer us their properties based on that, and it's like, hey, well, we can't, why would you offer your property? Well, because they already know the insurance money is gonna be less than what it's gonna cost for them to fix it.
And the property was less than what it cost to clean it up,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So, I mean, I like this idea about that. I mean, I agree with you. I just wanna make sure that, council approves the amounts of money before they go out, so that we can make that decision at that time. And that, if there's any way, we should ask the attorney to look into immediately placing liens on houses, and based on the history of what we've seen with this, is that people do this and they take a long time, and then the lien could be like, hey, how you get out of the lien, you pay the bill. I don't know if that's legal, but maybe you could figure it out.
We can take a look at that for sure.
Okay. And then, my other thing on the mailer, is this talking about 5 to 7K for one mailer? Or are you talking about sending out a bunch of times?
That was the initial quote we received, just the one.
Yeah, it goes out.
One mailer?
It goes out through the utility bill, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that's a lot of money. I've done political ad campaigns. I think we could get it cheaper than that. But even a better option and I don't know if this is legal either, but I'm asking. Text messaging is way more, if you're politicking, you're going out, you're trying to do political ads, people have moved away from the door things, the mailers, because a lot of people just rip them up and throw them in the trash. Text message you have to look at to delete.
Do we have a city opt-in mass text?
That's one of our initiatives for this year, is to start marketing that. So we're actually working on that right now through our mass notifications, but it is an opt-in program.
So there are lists out there. I don't know if it's legal for a city to buy a list. Maybe you could check into that too.
Absolutely.
Because we could buy a list that has, the Republicans and the Democrats, in fact, you can go right to the county and pull the list. It has everyone's that has opted in to have their phone numbers, and there's quite a few. I'm not against the idea of a mailer. I think 5 to 7K is pricey. If it is what it is, then, but I do want to look at other avenues like text messages and things of that nature at the same time.
Yes, sir. A point of clarification, the 5,000 to 7,000 would be for the postcard, card stock type mailer that you see.
So it's not just mailing it.
No, to put
It's
it,
creating it and all that.
creating it, printing it, mailing it, and the whole thing. Staff, so not having staff time for all that. We can put them in the utility mailers, and that would be significantly cheaper.
So typically, when you get something in the utility bill, like when Mid-Valley, you have the thing from Mid-Valley that's in there, they're typically emailed to the mailer. They print everything, they stuff the envelopes and all of that. So it's all done through a third party for our utility bills. So we just mail them the document, and then they'll print and stuff the doc and mail it. So it's all included.
And I think the quote we received to insert in the mailer is like $1,200 or $1,400. It's significantly cheaper than a postcard cardstock type.
So we could do it. We could even do something different and format it differently just to fit in with the utility bill, and probably be cheaper too.
Sure. The drawback to that is we already have a mailer going out this month, one next month for the cross connection, and then it would possibly be delayed, but we could figure that out.
Or yeah, it might get lost in the shuffle.
Well, you've done a lot of work on this, and I really appreciate it. This is very detailed, and I know that, one of the things that Councilman Hedgecock has led with the entire time is that we need to clean up this city. And what a great thing, unfortunately he's going to be leaving, but what a great thing to codify on the way out. So I'm in favor of this. I would just like to see a couple little minor changes that we make sure that before we pay for abatements that it comes to council for approval, and that we look into the process of seeing if we can do immediate liens. And then also if we can look at the price of the mailers versus efficiency of, the other that you were talking about, that, hey, if we do this, it may have to wait a couple weeks. But here's the other thing, maybe if we did wait a couple weeks, maybe we could do 3 or 4 mailers to hit at a similar price. I don't know. But what do you guys think about that?
I like everything. Yeah, I like it all except for the big elephant in the room is the cost to abate the burnt down houses.
We'll bring those back.
We gotta work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to add one additional thing, or actually, I'll let Jesse talk about that, because we do have Isaac from Mid-Valley on, and we wanted to kind of bring up one other additional idea that kind of came up that we talked about after the staff report was submitted, but I think I've talked to a couple council members about this, and so we've just kind of another approach to kind of really hit it hard and really kind of make some impact initially. So Jesse, do you want to talk about that? And then we can have Isaac talk too.
Yes, sir. So we've been talking, one of our big problems is illegal dumping. We've had the idea of what can we do for maybe a big item pickup. And Mid-Valley came up with the idea of possibly having roll-offs stationed in district by district, or however the council would see fit. By district made sense to us. But Isaac, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening.
Good evening. Are you able to speak on this a little bit? I know there was some concerns from Mid-Valley about implementation of that effort.
Yeah, so good evening, council, mayor, city staff, Isaac Kulikoff, Mid-Valley Disposal. What was discussed was something we've done in other communities, i.e. the city of Fresno, city of Selma, which are kind of like beautify the community events. So beautify Coalinga event where we would partner with city staff, local nonprofits, churches, sports teams, organizations, and really bake in the community to a single day event that could coincide with possibly the spring cleanup event, maybe not the fall, but one of the biannual cleanup events that happens at our facility off of Elm, and maybe do it that same day or on an alternate day, but bring out some collection vehicles, i.e. a couple rear loaders, a couple front loaders, some of our staff as well, and do some roving patrols through the city to help clean up some existing stuff that's in the communities, in the alleys, out in the outskirts of town, et cetera, et cetera. And so really just partner with the city and local nonprofits to do a single day event. We've made t-shirts, so there's people that donate food. You have a local kind of area you congregate, have a safety meeting in the morning. Maybe one group takes one quadrant of the city and they're spread out, all over town, or targeting areas that, are a little bit need a little bit more attention than others, if that makes sense. So that was the general discussion. But the main idea is getting the community together. We can't do it all, right? And so we would like to partner with the city and these nonprofits to have some sort of event that does clean up the town, but some existing things in town, right? If that makes sense.
Thanks, Isaac. Yeah, so we're basically just trying to see if that's something the council's interested in. There may be some cost to the city to do that. I know we do, under our current agreement, have some, kind of included tonnage for bulk items in our contract that Isaac and I had been talking about. However, if it becomes a little larger than that, we can have a focused code enforcement effort prior to this event, and then we can definitely try and reach out to folks that need assistance. But yes, definitely we'll utilize our public outreach coordinator to help try and coordinate with Mid-Valley, and we can kind of put together this event since they have a little experience in that and coordinating these events in other communities they work in. So if the council's comfortable with that, we'd love to start working with them and start communicating and start and coordinate that as we get closer to the our spring cleanup. So it'd be kind of an addition to, it wouldn't necessarily be just a spring cleanup, it'd be an addition to that. So there may be some costs, but we can kind of get an estimate for you and kind of get an idea, but I think that'll have some immediate impact, I think, to really kind of get the large bulk items. Do you have anything to add, Jesse?
Before I stop talking, I just want to make sure you guys run. knew what we were planning, what I'm hearing is we want the city to look good as you drive in. So we will be targeting those main arteries and get the low-hanging fruit and get the stockpiles by Starbucks down and get the boarded up buildings, if not addressed, communicated, get some movement on. So we're not in the same place 2 years from now. So we are going to be concentrating on the main arteries to start, unless you had different direction. But that was our plan. So.
It's great, and it's been a long time coming. We've been talking about it for a long time. It'll be good to clean the city up a little bit more and get the public involved. I appreciate the help and the work.
Sir.
There's definitely be a cost with cleaning up the city, and that's okay in my opinion. Like the event, free dump day, there is a deterrent there. People don't like waiting in line. Unfortunately, that only gives people one option, and that's take it to the creek. So like the event Sean's talking about, curbside pickup, I know Fresno does it quite often. It makes it easy for the residents, everybody in the city. The bins, me and Sean spoke about that. Of course, you come with the problem is people are just going to dump everything in there. So that would be something I have to mitigate. But I think overall cleaning up the city is good, and it comes with cost. I just think being prepared and navigate those obstacles so we're not invested too much.
Will do. We can bring you back some options as far as the addressing the illegal dumping. So I mean, along with the creeks, the alleys are a mess. So I was in favor of the curbside pickup, and Mid Valley had some concerns with that, with people putting items on the curb that are not able to be received, and then they just stay there. So we're going to work through some of these obstacles and bring you back some clearer options.
With the new ordinance, is there any fines for illegal dumping if people get caught? The city's going to throw at them?
Yeah, we have current regulations in place for illegal dumping. So if we see it, we can address it. But it has to be, you have to see it.
We need to make them large.
Yeah.
Fines need to be large. They need to have some teeth.
What are we doing to clean up the creeks? I mean, that's just some areas are bad. How far out do we reach right now?
We're constrained by a few things. Not all of it's within the city limits. Some of it's within the county jurisdiction. The obvious human factor of the people that are there. If we destroy where they live, where are they going to go? So, I mean, not that that's the driving force, but there's a humanity factor involved. We're looking into it. PD's actively trying to identify some of these areas for code enforcement. We're trying to work through some of these, but at this moment, we don't have a really good, solid plan.
Some of those properties are owned by corporations, companies, people. Are we actively pursuing that, knowing there's homeless encampments, trash being piled up? I mean, unfortunately, it's their property, and it's not their fault, but it is their property. So, again, the code enforcement aspect of letting them know that they have to take precautions to protect their property from dumping, and how are we communicating that to the community?
That hasn't been a strategy we've employed up to now, but we can definitely look into that and start actively letting these property owners know their responsibility.
Yeah, we with the encampment policy that we adopted, I think it was back in June of last year, we actually just had a conversation about this, and because I know there's been some concerns about a couple of them. One's in the city, and one's not. So we're working with the county on the one outside of the city limits and the one inside of the city limits. I know Jesse and I have talked about it, about our strategy and implementing the policy and moving forward with contacting the property owners and addressing those issues that we have out there. So we do have the tools to do it.
So I'd just like to see you guys continue to work with the county, work with the property owners. understanding that the property owners are probably going to come to us individually as soon as they hear that they have to clean up their property. They're going to come with the complaints that saying, hey, this isn't my stuff and I can't move them out because of some USBR and federal rules with the way the creek runs, of the fact that when the creek has water in it, it's available, and when it's not, and it's some really convoluted laws. And then if they've been there since the creek has been there, then there has to be some kind of eviction. There's a lot of stuff into it, but that doesn't mean we can't get it done, and that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be vigilant on it. So I think that, keeping this on our radar is a good thing, and making sure that we actually, continue. I know Chevron, when we did do the first encampment rules, that Chevron did move in on that and get some. And I think that, Councilman Louder stated, this is something we need to make sure that we move on.
So with the county potentially being a partner, they wouldn't be a citizen, is there any liability that the county has? Like, are they obligated to clean up the properties?
I don't think so, no. It still falls on the property owner to clean up the property, but the county is going to be the enforcement arm and the enforcement mechanism to require them, enforce them to do it.
And what about the state for like the creek and state land or anything like that?
It's funny you asked that. I actually sent in an email to Jesse that we need to contact all state agencies from DWR, State Water Resources Control Board, Army Corps of Engineers, to advise them of what's going on out there, because they probably are concerned about contamination, anything like that, in the stream bed. So, yeah.
If the state knows that you have Mid-Valley local with the tools, they don't have to do anything except write the check, basically.
Yeah.
This has worked in other communities. Paso Robles has a very similar problem in the Salinas Riverbed. I can contact some folks over there and see what they've done to help get that Salinas Riverbed cleaned up. They did a tremendous job over there. They had a worse problem than we have, so, and looks good now. So let me try to figure out what they did.
I think they cut most of the trees out.
They cut the trees down to get the people out.
And the flood.
That did some work.
All right, so we don't need to vote on this, we just need to give direction. So the staff have direction?
Yes, we do.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so I just want to say that the reason that I'm having a little bit of issue on the agenda is because we have staff's name in bold, and it looks like a header. So I've been missing, I just figured it out, so I got to tell everybody. All right, yeah, I'm doing that from now on. So we're going to move on to item number 4, which is provide direction to staff regarding the submission of regional priorities to Fresno Council of Governments for consideration as part of the 2026 One Voice DC advocacy trip.
Thanks. Mayor and council, yeah, staff, it seems like we just went to DC, and it's coming right back around the corner in March. It's actually going to be March 22nd through the 26th for the Fresno COG One Voice trip. So again, Fresno COG requests priority projects, and as we know with Fresno Council of Governments, they're transportation-related projects. And so I think from last year, we focused primarily on the airport, and so I have attached the priority projects from last year. And so if the council so chooses, we can continue down that path and utilize and kind of move forward with those same priority projects. Because typically with any kind of other transportation related type projects that we typically see on the One Voice trip, it's really related to either large highway projects or any kind of major transportation projects that communities may have. And so with that, we're just I wanted to gather some additional information from council. If you want me to submit the similar requests from last year, we did have some policy requests related to transportation, kind of And it's kind of the similar sentiment that Congress has right now in terms of being able to streamline and direct more federal transportation funds to the local entities rather than having to funnel it through the state and having a long, drawn-out process of how we allocate funding and how we actually utilize the funds. And so I know that sentiment is already starting to take traction at Congress. However, from a project standpoint, it's really going to come down to the projects we had related to the airport last year. So if you're interested, we can do that. Or if you have any other ideas, I can include those as well. We typically want to stick with about 3 total projects.
Council?
Stick with the airport for sure. It's important. There's a lot of money hanging out there that we need to utilize.
Yeah, I agree. Unless somebody has some other ideas that could benefit, the airport is a big one.
So I just want to make sure that if we, that we set goals that are obtainable. So if we're going to do the airport, that I want to have some kind of grant submitted for them so that we have, because I remember last time we went, we talked to them, and one of the things the lady said on the way out is that, well, we don't have any, documentation for this. And so I don't know exactly what she was talking about, but she acted like she wanted some kind of request from us. And so I just want to make sure that if we're going to go in with that, that we have that.
Yeah, and I'll have to work with Mercedes because I know that we've been working with the FAA recently on trying to update some of the required documents since we actually got back. They updated the required documents related to the airport for us to be eligible for the grant funds, which comes through. So I don't know on timing on that prior to this trip because the trip's in March, but we'll do what we can to make sure that there's at least hopefully some type of prior notification to the FAA and the Department of Transportation related to our needs. So I can definitely try and get that and see what opportunities are out there. We do work with our grant writers monthly, and we really haven't seen any opportunities yet to put out actual formal grant applications strictly related to these types of projects. But we'll see what we can do.
So on this note, because I'm sure people are wondering, like, what happens? You guys, go to One Voice and you went and spent some money from the city to go to DC. But, we do have some positive notes. Last time we had, I think it was Congressman Gray, was it? That got it put into the omnibus funding package for $1.092 million for the city's sodium hydroxide and injection facility, and the House is actually expected to vote on that sometime later this week. Hopefully the Senate will get that done too by January. So if that is the case, then, these trips make a big difference. And so we can we can advocate for ourselves when we're there. And but I do just want to make sure, so the items that we sent last time is, one of them was for the airport, correct? Or were they all for the airport?
They were all for the airport. We had, it was federal It was federal funding for the airports, assistance with improving housing affordability, and the increased ease of access to IIJA federal infrastructure funds. So that was kind of the 3 topics. But we did have the federal fund. We had one submittal that included all of the airport projects. So we kind of highlighted all the improvements, the cost estimates, and we'll kind of increase those estimates a little bit because they've probably gone up. And then we'll try to include some additional information as to what we've been doing since then in terms of trying to allocate those or get those funds into grant windows.
So if we're talking about that we want 3 things, right? And if we, I just want to make sure that we can be as tactful as possible. So maybe that if whatever you find out from Mercedes and the grant people, we choose that plus another one. And then the third project that we would want, maybe we choose something. I know that main gas lines and main water lines, those are things that are being approved at federal level to get replaced, and they are quite pricey. So maybe we could come up with something that would have to do with that as well.
I think the challenge is due to the scope of work for the Fresno COG trip. However, the next item we're talking about is actually attending a trip related with our lobbyists specifically, which where we can basically have a broad brush of what we want to talk about. So I think with the One Voice trip, it's really got to be focused towards transportation. However, the trip that Townsend is looking to schedule meetings for members in March as well, or actually late February, that one really has a broad stroke. We can talk about infrastructure, we can talk about water, gas, airport if we want, anything related to city business. If we need law enforcement support or anything public safety, all those things are on the table when it comes to meeting with our congressional delegation then. But One Voice, as we experienced from the previous trip, was they have these projects, we make these presentations, and so we always made the pitch related to the airport to our
Well, I mean, the airport's super important. I just want to make sure that we're going with something that is obtainable. That we don't go to the FAA again or the Transportation Agency and then we don't have the documentation needed for them to move forward on it. That's my concern. I want to make sure that we have something that is doable. Make sure that, so, if I'm fine with the items that we have, and I'm fine with including the natural gas or the other lines into the other trip, that would be fine. But I just want to make sure that because we had a good impact. We really did. We had a really good impact on them. I just think that for the FAA, they didn't have anything to latch on to. Even though we told them what we wanted, they didn't have whatever documentation is that they needed to make it happen.
Yeah, we can look into it and see what we can get submitted prior to the trip, if we're capable of getting that information in. It might be a tight window, but we can see what might be available.
Is this contingent on a COG in a vote or something there? What gets on this agenda?
So that is actually the thing, is that COG does want information. Now, it doesn't have to be, it can be an idea. It doesn't have to be exact, but COG is going to take the ideas that we give them, and then they're going to vote on which ones to include. And Sean is correct that they do want it mostly to be transportation related. And airport would fall under that, and we could make that happen. It's really not a thing where they're going to kick a bunch of things out and say we aren't going to do it. It's more like that they just want to fine tune it to where you can get a bunch of things together so that when they go and talk to the FAA that they'll have, like Fresno, Coalinga, other places that have a similar want and need so that they have a list to go on.
And one thing that, if you guys recall, we do have to have somebody that attends the One Voice trip. So if we have a project or we have an ask, we have to have someone from the city go. So I don't know if anybody's interested. You can reach out to me afterwards as we start getting closer. And then we'll see what we can do. I know that they want to have something submitted by next week. We can always still submit projects, at least in the meantime, and then we'll see what we can do about whether we can have any kind of white paper into the DOT prior to, so at least they see something from us. I'll have to see what that process would look like.
Council okay with that? You need a vote or just direction?
Just consensus.
Consensus? We okay with that? All right. Gonna move on to item number 5, which is discussion of potential Washington DC trip for the federal earmark advocacy with the city's federal lobbyists.
So this was and this is more kind of just wanting to bring it to the council's attention. Townsend Public Affairs, who we contract for lobbying services, reached out. I know that this was a request by the council to try and schedule a DC trip that would actually be something more correlated, directly related to the city, allowing us FaceTime to talk about any city issues with our elected representatives in Washington. And so they've kind of identified 2 times throughout the year that's a good time to go, which would be the first week of March or the week of March 16th. They recommend the first week of March because the National League of Cities conference is the same week of March 16th, which means it's probably going to be extremely busy with the representatives at that time, although the first week of March is probably ideal. And then what we'll do at that point is we need to kind of prepare. We do have earmarks. We have our list that they worked on, they presented to us, and we kind of selected in terms of what we'd like to look at in terms of projects. I've kind of included the schedule on here, and then the list that was actually on the previous item, that's kind of the same idea of what we're looking at for when it comes to infrastructure. So we can talk about water, we can talk about gas, we can talk about public safety. And so if there are things that are of interest, we can include that and be prepared for that discussion. So, and again, you guys can reach out to me and if you're interested in attending. I know that the DC trip for COG is the same week of the Monterey Retail Conference that I think some of us are going to. So we might have a smaller delegation in DC during that time if someone's interested in going. And then we have this potential opportunity so we just want to let Townsend know as soon as possible so then they can start making arrangements with our electeds in DC to schedule one-on-one meetings with them. If you have anything to add, let me know.
What I was just going to ask is if staff could send out the individual council members' requests on this and see what information you get back. That way we could make a decision on the March 1st or the 16th, and then who all would be attending those compared to who's going to be attending the ICSC as well, since the 22nd for the COG will overlap that. Plus, we probably will have a new appointment tonight, and so I want to make sure that we include everyone in on this. So that's, if you could do that, that would be great. Do we have a consensus on that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We good on that, John? Yeah.
Got it.
All right. We can move on to item number 6, which is consideration of establishing an ad hoc community outreach and interagency communication committee.
Do you want to do this one?
I guess. Yeah. So
That is your future agenda item, so.
Sure. Well, we have a need, and we have had a need for quite some time for the city to deal with other agencies, to deal with the Park and Rec, to deal with the school district, to deal with, items that overlap each other. However, I think it's been a thing in the past where no one wanted to step on each other's toes. So you don't want to have just a couple members meeting because then it looks like, hey, we're leaving other people out. So I came up with an idea of creating an ad hoc committee, which would be 2 members, 2 primary members and 1 alternate, and then the city and the city staff. So basically, Sean would fill the group from the city side, depending on who would need to be. So if it was something that had to do with the fire and the streets and things like that, maybe the police chief and maybe the fire chief. If it had something to do with economic development, he would bring those people. But then we would really have 2 council members dedicated towards that. And then obviously there's times that those 2 members may not fit with others, and so then we could have a 3rd person as an alternate in there. And we could also, quarterly bring this back and change the alternate person or change the primary people. That way that we can, make sure that we really get a good group of people that are constantly, and I'd actually like to move on, this quickly because I want to be able to set up some meetings. The next election's going to be in November soon. And I know that we have a lot of folks that want to get some things done before then. We have some things we want to work on with the school district, some things we want to work on with Park and Rec. And so obviously anything discussed would come back to council for approval. And it would also be, the city manager would be giving information out to others about that so that we don't have Brown Act issues. That's why it would just be the 2 people at the meeting, so we don't have Brown Act issues. And then anything that could be given out to the other council would go through the city manager. with the advice from the city attorney. So that's kind of the idea on this. Open for suggestions, but
Just a question, is there interest from the other
there is.
agencies?
There is some
College,
interest from other agencies.
Chamber?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, there is interested agencies. Members of all agencies, in fact, have reached out. In fact, Huron has reached out, to talk about the situation with the ambulance. I was kind of waiting to get back to that situation until we figured out what was going on. That way we could formally address, when people contact us, we can have a formal approach to this rather than somebody just hitting me up or hitting up one of the rest of us individually and saying, hey, we want this person to go, but then they aren't really seeing a big picture. I want us to be formally going into there so that we have a plan.
Yeah, I think it's a really good thing. I think it's important to have a cohesive partnership with everybody here in town. I've already been approached by multiple different groups. I think Parks and Rec, Chamber, school system, and the city should be working together. That's in schedules, events, everything we have going on. So when we are trying to get something going, we don't have half of the city going over here and half going over here. And safety concerns, horn-toed derby, all those things. I think it's very important. I like it.
That brings up a quick thought too. We talked about a calendar, a community calendar. You and I had looked at one. Is that something that we could tie in with this? We could share
Yeah, I think
calendars.
as
You could go to
discussion- I
one
think-
place and see what
I think
everybody's
as
got going on.
discussions, as discussions happen, we can start coordinate that. We're still doing a little bit of research on that. I know Jasenia is still looking into some of the options. I know the mayor and I talked about an approach that might work too and so we're working through that as well. Yeah.
So I guess what we'd need to find out is who we would want to be the two primaries and the alternate to attend these events. And then also that I would say that I'm not trying to cut anybody out. I'm not trying to say, hey, we can't. I'm just trying to offer a pathway for us to be able to do something that's above board that the rest of the council is okay with.
I'm good with it, but can we push it forward until we get everyone seated?
Sure.
Rather
I've
than
put in-
try to do it
Sure.
now?
Yeah, I put in the staff report actually to bring back a policy for the council at the next meeting, so we can prepare that. It did
Okay.
trigger a couple
Yeah.
questions in terms, and then we can talk, and then you guys can decide on the primaries and the alternates.
Yeah.
But a question I had was, what's going to trigger a meeting? What's going to trigger involvement of the ad hoc committee?
So my personal thing would be is that well, the calendar can be one thing, but I mean, like, for instance, the mayor of Huron reached out and said he wanted to have a meeting with us about the ambulance. And I was kind of reluctant to say, yes, let's go have a meeting about the ambulance with just the mayor and with their city manager. Didn't seem like it was a formal way to operate. It seems like if they have a formal practice that they're gonna, want to talk about, we should have a formal practice in response. And so then I've also been approached by different members from the school board that have said, hey, we want to have a meeting about different things that affect the school and the city at the same time. Crossing guards, the officers for the school and things of that nature. And then this can also add some kind of streamline to the process, because rather than having the staff going out there and doing the brunt of the work and then having to come back and wondering if council is going to be on board, hopefully they'll already have two people on board, whoever two it is, and then the alternate, in those scenarios that will already have said, okay, well, because if you have two people that are saying, then you really only need a third to make it happen. But our goal is to be consensus with all of us, but we can't do it unless we're at a meeting, right? So you get the best of that you can. You can get the two people and the city staff, and then you bring it back. That way that we can make sure that we have a consensus of the council moving forward.
And it would be basically contacting Sean with a request.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
that works.
And that could come from council or it could come from the city agencies, either one. So whoever wants to create a meeting, they would contact city manager, request a meeting, and then, and if it was coming from us, we would contact Sean and have him request the meeting on the opposite end. You guys okay with that? So you want to bring that back?
Yeah, I'll bring something back
Something
next
back for
meeting.
us?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, moving on to item number 7, review applications and possible appointment for city council seat to be vacated by Councilman Hedgecock, District 5.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, tonight you will review the applications for the city council seat created by the resignation of Councilman Hedgecock, conduct the applicant interviews, as well as consider the appointment of one candidate. So the application period closed on December 30th of last year. The city clerk received 3 completed applications. All 3 applicants qualified to be interviewed tonight. Per the process outlined in the Code of Conduct, the interview process will be as follows. The interview order will be determined by a random drawing. The format is that each candidate will have up to 5 minutes for an opening statement. The council will then have the opportunity to ask the applicant questions. Consistent questioning is encouraged. The audience will then have up to 10 minutes to ask questions of the applicant. 1 question per individual, so 1 question from each member of the audience. And then the applicant will have up to 3 minutes for a closing statement. Now, once that is completed for each of the applicants, there will be up to 2 minutes of public comment per speaker before deliberation. Council will then deliberate. So the way this will work is each council member will nominate 1 applicant or may nominate 1 applicant. Voting then proceeds by voice vote. In the case of a tie, the lowest supporting nominee is eliminated, and voting continues until a majority is reached among the council. And the applicant who is selected will then be sworn in at the next council meeting.
All right. You want to lead the process?
Sure. So first thing we need to do is conduct a random drawing to determine the order of the interview process. So if the candidates can come forward, we have numbers that each candidate can pull.
Just go ahead and go.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hey, I just wanted to say that I'm super happy that we've got 3 good candidates from District 5 going for this position. I've got to sit down with all 3 of them separately and speak with them about why they wanted to do it and their ambitions, and it was good to hear everybody's stories. I'm happy that we have the applicants, and it's an important role in the community. It's a good community service, as I like to call it. We're servants to the community. I know we're elected, but I still believe that we're community servants. And so I appreciate you all coming out to do this.
Yeah, I want to echo that. That was, I think District 5 is a unique district. It's got some unique qualities to it, challenges. I think the people that I met with are definitely have the qualities to fill that spot. I don't know if you want to fill the boots, but you got some big boots to fill. So,
Any other comments?
I just want to echo that I've spoken to everyone as well, and individually, and we have some great people up here. Every person that has applied has, I believe, has the skills, the know-how, and the want to serve the city. And so I very much appreciate everyone coming out and throwing your name in the hat. And always be aware that in November, this is a short term. So in November, even if you don't get selected tonight, you'll have a chance to run in November. So, huh?
More like August, isn't it? That's when it starts.
Well, you'll be starting whenever, right? But the thing is that you know, we can only pick one person, and all of you that I know are great, one of which I've served with before, which is Mayor Ramsey, and I very much appreciate everyone coming out.
If applicant number 1 can come forward, we can go ahead and start the process. So you will have 5 minutes for an opening statement.
I won't take that long, but, well, didn't think I would ever be back up here this quick. You know, I don't have any complaints on what he's done, and he's doing a great job. He keeps you in check. He always has that but, you know, and then he says, get her done. But that's the way I like it and stuff, and he tells you what he wants and everything. But about me, you know how I am. I've been here before. I'm going to give you my all for everything. If I'm going to give you my passion, I'm going to give you my love for this city, and a lot of times you hit me hard on different things, and I try to be positive on everything, and I try to be everybody's friend, but you can't be everybody's friend here. And you have to make people mad and do things that they don't like, and even though it's the best thing for the city. And that's the main thing you have to do, is the best thing for the city. I'm trying to think, like In God We Trust. That was one of the things I was happy about helping put on there. The council voted for it, but we brought it back, and that was something that was missing up there, and we want to bring God back here too. And I don't want to get religious here and bring political stuff in here, but we need that here in town. I mean, especially being a small town, we have to work together. And like they used to say, it takes a family. You know, it takes a city to do it. And I'm a Republican. Everybody knows that. You know, and I voted for Trump, but I have a lot of friends that are Democrats, and I can't understand why they stay that way. But I think we need a new governor, and I think a lot of you think that way too. But I've worked with a lot of Democrats through the years, and they've been good friends on running different places and stuff. And then I worked with the Republicans, and some of them I didn't like either. You know, but you just got to work with what you've got and give it the best you can. And when you make a decision, you do your homework on it and look at everything. There's always another way. And when people come up to you and complain, there's always another story too to that, because a lot of people come up and say the cops are doing this or something like that. But then you go talk to the cops or somebody else that was watching the whole thing, you get a whole different aspect of everything. So you can't take everything as truth. So I just want to tell you that if you vote for me, you're going to get me up here at 100%. I'm going, my health is good. I go to the doctor next month and everything's good right now. They tell me I'm good for a year. So that works out for a year. So. But other than that, I'm kidding. I hope it goes longer. God, was that already 5 minutes?
There was 3.
Oh,
You have
3?
2 more minutes.
Well, that's fine, but I'll take that. But I just want to thank you, and maybe I'll get a chance to come back. Thank you. Here's the number.
Oh, sir. Council, now is the time for you to ask questions.
Oh, okay. I thought that was coming later. I'm sorry.
We'll go ahead and start with Councilman Hedgecock, and we'll move this direction.
I got an easy one for you.
Pardon me?
I said I have an easy one for you.
Okay.
What inspires you for community service?
What inspires me? I think it's just, that's a hard question. You knew that was going to get me too, didn't you? Anyway, it's the pride and stuff. I have a lot of pride. And when I accomplish something, I get a lot of pride, and I like to accomplish it. I hate not finishing something. And well, that's my answer. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Thank you. Passionate, you know?
Ron, you've had a long, influential tenure on the council. What specific new ideas, approaches, and priorities would you bring to your next term that the residents have not seen from you?
Well, one thing, you know, AI, everybody knows what AI is and stuff like that. So I asked AI, what could we do? You know, what do they need, what do we need here? And they said that we need a big business here, but we're not going to get a big business here in Coalinga. But there's 2 companies that are looking for truck stops. They're the big truck stops. There's 2 of them, and we've got a couple of spots that they could go to. And if we push that a little bit harder, you know, and got some of our people helping us out there, like Gray and a couple of other people and Buddy, if we could bring those guys in, there's land up there for sale, out there for sale. And then they even have you know, the train line that used to come in, the train line's out there still. They could just, there was I think they said 15 miles that they would have to add track on if they wanted to go out there and do another big, and I'm talking the big ones, not like the one in Avenue, you know, like that one up in Avenue. These are really big ones, and they have 300 trucks at night in them, you know, and stuff like that. But they said something like, the AI said that would probably work. And it even gave me the phone numbers to call on these different companies to see if they're interested. And they said that they're interested, but I don't know if we could do that. But that would be one thing. And then the cleanup, I'm glad you guys were talking about that. We've done a lot of that, but just like our Mayor Pro Tem says, you've got to put some grip into the fines, because we've had people like that, and we tried to get them to clean up their yards and stuff like that. We fined them, everything. They never pay, you know, and then we were going to go after them, put liens on them and stuff. That didn't work either. The yards are still the same, you know, and so you've got to put something in there where it gets cleaned up, and because it hurts your neighbors are selling the houses, you know, next door to them, and it's hard to sell houses when your next door neighbor is not taking care of their yard. And a lot of people take care of their yards in our neighborhoods. You know, we happen to live in a neighborhood that a lot of people try to take pride in, and a lot of the older houses and stuff, they're trying to take pride in theirs too. And then they get somebody that's messing up their yards or don't take care of the yards. It's not fair to them. And a lot of times, and when I was in younger days, when somebody wasn't cutting their lawn and stuff, I would go over there and cut it myself, you know, and try to keep it up because you have pride in your neighborhood. I'm going on too much. Go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Ron.
Okay. Sorry about that. I start rambling.
You can ask multiple.
All right, well, my usual is, pertains to social media. You're probably good on this one. It says, what are your thoughts on using social media as a representative of the city of Coalinga?
Well, when social media first came out, I was on the council, and I got in trouble. Mario said that, because I was just coming right back out, and I had it on there, that this isn't an official site. And I had Coalinga on there, you know, on my site. And so Mario made me take down everything on the site, and we had to make copies of everything that was on that site. I had to take copies of it and give it to him, and he had to keep it for so many years or something like that. And then I went back on and came back on, and I just had my name on my site. I wouldn't do anything else like that. And I wasn't representing the council. I was representing myself, and I was trying to tell everybody that. But they said, once you're on the council, and whatever you say, it's coming from the council, you know? And so they kind of thought that. And it's true. Now that I really think about it, it's true, you know? No matter what you say, if I say something out in a meeting and I'm on the city council, you've got to be careful what you say. But I didn't get really bad on there, but stuff like that. But I think there's a place for social media, but you guys are doing great on it, because people people complain about stuff, and sometimes they get dirty and put names out there too, but you guys don't respond. And I think it's hard not to respond sometimes, but I think that's the best way. And if people want to gripe to you, they can come to these meetings and then you can respond there. It's harder not to respond because sometimes you feel like it, but you don't want to, you don't really want to do that because it makes the whole council look bad. It's because you got to feel when you're on the council, no matter if you're the mayor pro tem, or a council member, you're a team member. And that one link on the team can mess up everybody. One guy does one thing wrong, everybody suffers. So you've got to be careful on that. So.
I have one other. Is there anything specific that you'd like to accomplish while serving on city council this term?
Well, if I could, between now and then, if I could get the city cleaned up like he said, and everybody's yard looking really good, and working with Isaac and stuff like that, I think people would be happy again. You bring Coalinga like it used to be. Coalinga's never going to be like it was before the earthquake, but it can still be a lot better than it is right now. And we need more businesses, and hopefully we'll get it. I mean, being on the council for 28 years, you wouldn't believe all the businesses that we've seen on paper. I mean, ask Sean, all the writings and drawings that we've had. I mean, this town would be huge if we had everything come through, but it doesn't happen. And then you get gun shy on what you can tell people, because you don't want to say something, because as soon as you say something, somebody's going to say something bad about that place or something, and then that place isn't going to come in. And one thing about it, people have to support in this town. You have to support it, or we're not going to have it at all. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, so Roger literally asked the questions I was going to ask, but I know he did. He's looking over my shoulder, but I guess my concern with anyone that is running for council or gets on council is that sometimes people, when they get on, not the city's not good at what they do, but they lean towards the city to make the decisions the council should be making. And I know that you've been on council for a long time, and you led with the fact that sometimes that you have to make decisions that make people unhappy. Does that include making decisions that sometimes would make the city unhappy?
Oh, yes. Yes. I've made them unhappy before, and I've been the lone vote, just like some of you have, on certain projects and stuff like that. When you get a passion and you stick by it, I stick by my guts. I voted for different things, and I voted against different things. And oh yeah, you have to go. There's always a gut feeling in you too. I don't know if you guys go with your gut, but you got to go with your gut. And sometimes you're really upset. You can't believe it, that they voted that way, and you can be the 4-1 and still, but you have to go with what you believe in the best.
Perfect. Thank you. I've served with Ron before, so there's not too many questions I have, because he's been a great mentor and a great mayor in the past. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? All right, now we'll open it up to the audience. We have 10 minutes total, and we ask that if anyone would like to ask Mr. Ramsey a question, that you only ask one question.
And you don't have to fill out a card. I don't like that.
Are there any questions for Mr. Ramsey? Hearing none, Mr. Ramsey, you will now have 3 minutes for a closing statement.
Okay, the gentleman that came up here with me, I think I don't know them, some of them personally and everything, but I think anybody that's going to try this job, that if they don't do a good job, you're going to hear about it. And, but I know the gentleman behind, he's really good. I don't know you very much, but I've seen you around town and stuff, but I think just to be here, that means that you like the city and you're going to stay here for a while. And that's what we need. We need somebody that likes this city or loves this city. And you're going to stay here and concentrate and make sure that you do it for the city and not for you and not for anybody else. And that's basically all I have to say.
Thank you.
Am I done now? Thanks.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
I thought it'd be a lot harder.
Will applicant number 2 come forward? No. You will have 5 minutes for an opening statement
When does the timer start?
when you start talking.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and City Council, and to the public. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Lonnie, for deciding to move out of town. Gives us a spot to apply for. So that is greatly appreciated. And to Mr. Ramsey, thank you for your closing comments. It is important to have passion. So hopefully you get to know me a little bit here. My name's Pedro Garcia. I grew up in Fireball, California, town very similar to Coalinga, with a lot less resources and infrastructure to support kids that grow up in small towns, broken homes. There's high numbers that show, high school to prison. There's not a lot of men completing their college degrees these days. There's a lot of distrust in education these days. And so here you go. I came here in 2009 to play football at Coalinga Community College, formerly West Hills. Education was not my first choice, but sports absolutely were. Grew up playing baseball my whole life, wrestling. Football was my new love, and didn't come straight to college. Ended up at Rite Aid in Kerman, thinking that I was going to make a future in becoming a store manager someday. We don't know what we don't know, or we only know what we see in front of us, and I was definitely heading down the road of retail. Very common for kids that come out of small towns. And along came a coach who basically made me feel this big. Asked me a simple question: what the hell are you doing? Excuse my French. And I was like, well, got a full-time job, I got a car, got a girlfriend, all that good stuff, right? And it made me think very hard about what my future was gonna look like and what I was gonna do with myself. And I'll quote how he said I was wasting my talent. Didn't realize anybody else saw anything more than what I saw myself at the time. So to Coach Mike, if you're watching, I appreciate you doing that for me. So I land here, I play football. I enjoyed every bit of it. I loved it so much, I never left. 15 years later, here we are. Meet my beautiful wife, Heather Garcia. We share 4 daughters, so we don't have a lot of spare time. But we definitely understand the importance of giving back to the community. We bought our home in 2017, and we get the emails on equity. Looks good. We got no desire to leave here. I've been at the college for 14 years now as an employee in a variety of roles. Coming from a sub 2.0 student, I hold a master's degree and currently working on a doctorate. For the last 5 years, I've served as the president of Coalinga Girls Softball. There was only 2 of us that attended the meeting, myself and Miss Erin Brewer, Sean's wife, and I asked one question, ended up being the president. I never realized that I had a future in advocacy and community, to be honest, right? We're oftentimes raised in communities where people just care about themselves, their identity, their image, doing whatever benefits themselves. For those that know me, I do nothing that benefits myself or my household, as you can ask my wife. She doesn't get overly thrilled with all the things that I get involved with, but she understands the the purpose, and she does support it, and I do appreciate that. So thank you. Mr. Hedgecock approached me a few years ago. We were serving on a police chief advisory board on behalf of Coalinga College, and he said, one day you're gonna have a shot to be in the seat. And I looked at him like, you're out of your mind, because I did not ever think I had a future in any type of politics. I wasn't interested at the time, but what do you know? You grow, you mature, and you start to see the bigger picture. It's been a ride. For the last 5 years, I've served as an administrator at the college. I oversee student government. I have extensive experience with Robert Rules of Orders, with the Brown Act. I really have given the student body a voice at the college. Last year took the first group that has attended Washington, D.C. in the many years of existence at the community college. We met with our representatives, with the senators. We advocated. As I hear the council speak throughout the extensive agenda today, there's a lot of opportunities. What a picture it would look like to have our student council and our city council working together, collaborating, working with local nonprofits, the vision of the community, and coming up with strategic plans that benefit the community, the people, our future generations. I mean, there's such a need for mentorship in these communities. And that's where the goal is for me. I think about why city council. There's a lot of work to do. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. I believe in iron sharpens iron and one man sharpens another. That's absolutely one of my favorite Bible verses, and it is very true, right? If we lean on each other, we work together, we can make each other better. We don't have to agree on everything. I really appreciate your comments, Mr. Ramsey. In fact, I enjoy having a good disagreement. That is in my DNA. I'm a why person. I like to ask questions. I like to lead with curiosity. I consider myself a servant leader. None of the positions that I serve in outside of the college am I paid for or compensated in any way. And I'm always looking for an angle on how to support our community, how to get more resources for our future generation. As a part of USA Softball, or Coalinga Girls Softball, we serve under the USA Softball umbrella. They've been trying to get me to take a job at their level to grow the sport. And we are working on some cool things, but my passion's here in the community. Businesses are closing. We see that. There's an economic development need here in this town. I know you guys are working tirelessly on what that looks like, and I want to contribute to that. I want a piece of that pie. I want to be able to put my money where my mouth is and not just be a keyboard warrior. You can't find anything about me on social media because I like to handle business in person. I believe that if you have questions, show up. You want to see a change, get involved. All right, so that is why I'm here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
I'm gonna ask you the same easy question. What inspires you?
I ask every student the same two questions as I try to change what they think they understand about themselves. What is your purpose, and what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? When I think about those two questions, it's really hard to answer. But the passion for me, I got 4 daughters that my wife and I are doing a phenomenal job in preparing them for this world. But they benefit having both of us in the household. So what are we doing for the community? What are we doing to strengthen their friends, to prepare their friends, their colleagues? I absolutely have a passion to give back to the community. My parents split when I was 2. I hardly know anything about my family history as I'm on that journey currently. And I'll tell you that there was a lot of good people in my corner that paid for my Little League fees and my childhood youth sports and all that good stuff. And without sports, I wouldn't be here. So I have a passion in developing our youth, providing opportunities and resources to take them places that they didn't know they could go, in hopes that they see something beyond what they see in front on a day-to-day basis. That's what drives me. I hope I answered that.
Thank you.
Very good. Very, very good. I admire a lot of your hard work, man. I really do. Seen you do a lot of cool stuff. I tell you all the time, you need to take a vacation.
I hope you can take me on one.
Yeah, you're.
See your Facebook.
I appreciate what you do with the girls. I'm right there with you, man. I got 3 daughters. It's women's sports here in town is important to me. It's lacking all over, and I appreciate you taking the time and effort and putting that into it. I really admire a lot of the things you do. Academically, it's outstanding. Be proud of yourself. Everybody brings personal experiences and beliefs into public service. Can you describe a belief, perspective you have hold that you've had to challenge or reconsider? And how would you ensure your personal biases don't influence decisions that affect the entire community?
I'm going to try to break that question up because it is a pretty beefy one. I'm a backwards planet. So as far as bias goes, it's the inevitable, right? It's really hard to do away with bias. We have to lean on each other to call each other out. We all have blind spots. I do a lot of work in bias work. A lot of my research right now is around why are men not completing their 4-year degrees? And the bias that kicks in is I walked in those shoes and I'm gonna see it my way, right? But that's why I really enjoy a disagreement, because through disagreement, I'm a verbal processor. If you can't tell, I really enjoy speaking. It helps me poke holes. It helps me ask myself questions I didn't see, consider alternatives. I'm a chess player, so I enjoy a good 3-dimensional chess game. Got to move the pieces, but you cannot be close to an idea, right? So there's no such thing as a bad question. Being informed is really important, but with the bias, I mean, I'm human, so I will at times hit a wall, and that's where it's a team dynamic that's extremely important. There is, I may be laser focused, tunnel vision on one thing, and the team would essentially make me aware that, hey, you might be a little too in the weeds on this one. So I would say we lean on our community, we lean on each other to call each other out. As far as belief, my wife and I are building our own traditions within our family. Family systems are messy, yeah, and there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of memories that we can run from that oftentimes we stay running from, right? But there's also a lot of good, right? It doesn't have to be all bad, right? And so regardless of how bad the struggle may have been as a child, we are working extremely hard to build our own traditions, and it starts with community for us. I think I invited a few of you guys to Christmas Eve at my place. My family had this belief that Christmas is for blood, for DNA, right? And I disagreed. Family is who we call family. And my door is open to anybody that needs a family. And I mean that. There was a time before COVID when things got weird. The neighbors walked in through our front door. Doors were not locked. I could remember hosting our family over, and our front neighbor walks through, drops something off on the kitchen. Hey guys, walked out, and our family was like, what was that? I said, welcome to Coalinga. I believe in I want my girls to look back when they grow up and understand what we poured into them, what we poured into the community. And if we work together and if we unite, man, we are capable of a lot. And so if there's anything that I want them if I want to instill in them, it's the idea that everything is earned. And you absolutely have to bust your you-know-what to earn that, right? Build community. Better quickly pick up on people's red flags and their cues and whatnot and keep navigating, right? Because even though we don't get along with everybody, still need them. They play a role. It's a bigger game than just who we like. So my tradition is building community and supporting each other.
Appreciate that. That's, thank you very much. And I've personally experienced that from you. I think I met you one time before you completely volunteered for a barbecue. That was, it really showed up, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. So you already answered my go-to social media question, so we'll pick another one. How would you balance the time commitment, meetings, prep, events, etc., with your other life responsibilities?
Yeah. You know, AI is a powerful thing, but there's all kinds of technology, right? If I showed you my calendar, you'd be like, no way. Yeah, wife and I have a shared family calendar. We have a community calendar with the neighbors, right? Everything's about time management. Does it get a little heavy at times? Absolutely, but that's life, right? If you want something in life, we understand what it takes to get there. So the balance is gonna be key within the relationship, within the household, right? I've shifted a lot of my efforts into making sure that I am taking care of my family first. But a lot of people don't like to admit this. It's really important to look in the mirror and understand how we take care of ourselves first, right? We all have what makes us who we are and what fills our cup. And what I will tell you is I'm not chasing anything. I came in here accepting defeat and saying, hey, if they choose somebody else, it's the way it was supposed to be, right? So I got nothing to lose tonight. But when it comes to balancing everything, communication, especially with my partner over there, we document everything, we calendar everything. I got a journal, actually. This is not just my city council application journal. This is my everyday, and apologize for the polish, my 11-year-old got a hold of me. I journal everything. I make sure I have a to-do list. It goes digital. I am absolutely a high-functioning ADHD, man. I have to have a system and a structure to allow me to do all the things that I do and support the things that I do. Hasn't been a problem yet. I haven't even been able to mention about 3/4 of the things I volunteer for. But my wife definitely reminds me when it's time to kind of take a step back, let somebody else jump in there, which is why I'm here essentially. It's time to hand the torch off on some other things and advocate at a larger level within the community. So I do appreciate that question.
All right, thank you.
All right. So, it's been great just to hear you kind of speak about some of the things about your life and about the things that you've done and your path forward, and it's really great to hear. You don't hear a lot of people that are able to express themselves in such a manner of professionalism, and I really take that serious. I think that's really cool, and I really appreciate you, willing to come up here and put that information out to the public. I guess I'm gonna be consistent, and I'll ask the same question. I might phrase it just a little bit different, but because for clarity, sometimes the city, doing their best job that they can, it's our job as council to have the eye of the public. And it's not that the city doesn't have the eye of the public, but the city is working with the constraints that they have. And a lot of times they'll bring us something and they'll say, this is the best that we've got. And we kind of take that into consideration a lot of times on the items they bring to us. But sometimes we have to send them back to the drawing board, and we have to say, the public is not going to be happy with this, and we're not going to face the public at Save Mart, and we're not going to do it like that. We got to send you back to the drawing board. It's a hard thing to do because we appreciate all of our staff and how much time that they put in. I want to support somebody that is willing to put in that extra time. Because a lot of that time, the staff is saying, okay, well, what's your ideas? What do you have in on this? You know, you're telling us that this isn't good enough, and so then that requires us to go to work, and we do that work. And so my question is, are you willing to tell the city no as well? If it's not the best plan moving forward, are you willing to put in time? And are you willing to tell the city, you know, like they want to increase on something, and you're going to say, hey, we got to look deeper into this. Are you willing to say no to the city?
I'm not sure what question it was. Somebody asked a question where I started with, I'm a why guy. So if this is the 5th time they're bringing it to us and I still have whys, we owe it to our community to make sure they go back to the drawing board and they bring us something that makes more sense for the community, for our sustainability, for our infrastructure. I jumped on a City of Fresno City Council meeting just to get an idea of what happens outside of Coalinga. Working at a college, at a community college, we're essentially research institutions, right? We have a whole state of California to look at other places to see what they do there. I don't know why it's hard for people to look outside and ask questions. I came across a project called SETA. Apparently they've been working on it for 10 years. You want to see messy? Jump on those recordings. There's council members that are pushing back and asking for another rendering, a different plan. It will not be hard if it doesn't make sense. So I have no problem saying, take it back, bring us something else that makes more sense for us.
Perfect. Thank you.
Council, any additional questions? Hearing none, we'll open it up to the audience. We have 10 minutes. Are there any questions? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement. 3 minutes, sorry.
Here's my why. Economic development, jobs for our community, opportunities for our youth and our future generations, mentorships. If we don't work together as a community, if we don't learn to collaborate, which I'm not saying we don't do that, there's a nice action item or discussion item up there that I was like, hey, sounds like they wrote that for me. We need to find a way to tap into the different organizations, the stakeholders in this community. You got the school board, you got the museum, you got the Parks and Rec, the college, CDCR, the state hospital. There's so many organizations within our community that when we're looking at a challenge or a plan of some sort, we're looking at economic development, we're looking at cleanup, what does collaboration look like? What does partnership look like? Have we asked? Don't tell me it won't work. Have we turned that rock over, right? I consider myself a servant leader. I absolutely walk in an authentic light. I'm very genuine. I do not try to fabricate responses. I don't have to rehearse my responses. I speak my truth. I'm at peace with who I am, with what I see in the mirror. So I'm absolutely ready to take this step and serve it as a member of the city council and help make our community better and serve the community at large. So thank you all. Do I need to turn my number in? No. Have a great evening.
Applicant number 3. Applicant number 3.
Hello, everybody.
You have 5 minutes for an opening statement.
Good evening, council. Pedro, thank you. That was pretty solid. Ron, I appreciate those kind words. Lonnie, definitely gonna miss you. He takes care of his lawn. So some of you guys don't know me from Adam, but some of you do. My name's Abel Arroyo. I'm a long life resident of Coalinga. I appreciate the opportunity to share my background and outline how my experience and knowledge would qualify me to serve as a city council member. I bring a lifetime of knowledge, hands-on leadership experience, a deep commitment to the future of Coalinga, which I believe that, would bring a great value to the city council. I have lived in Coalinga for the past 33 years. This is my hometown. I went through Coalinga school system here, graduated Coalinga High School, attended Coalinga College, and later transferred to Fresno State. Growing up here has given me firsthand insight on how our city has evolved, what's worked and what has not worked, and where opportunities to improve it exist. I don't just know Coalinga on paper, but I know it through my life experience, my family's life experience. Professionally, my background's in entrepreneurship and agriculture, which are both essential to our economy here in Coalinga. I work closely with all major farming operations in and around Coalinga. And through that work, I've gained a strong understanding of water challenges, regulatory requirements, labor issues, land use, economical pressure facing both large and small businesses. This experience allows me to approach policy decisions with practical, informed perspective, one that balances economic sustainability and community responsibility. I also started and operate my own business, which I currently work with the city of Visalia. That experience has given me direct exposure to understand inside how contracts are structured, how accountability works, how a collaboration between private enterprise and municipality government can lead to good results. I understand budgets, timelines, compliance, and most important, transparency and the follow-up when you're doing business with government. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I partnered with Coalinga College, a critical moment in their enrollment. They were facing a lot of challenges that disrupted their farming operation and education. Together, we found solutions for the farm, running and helping and assisting them getting through that moment in time, and while protecting such an important piece of our community for this institution. That experience reflects on how I approach challenges by working through them, staying solution focused, and putting the community long-term benefit first. In addition, I'm a local property owner with rental housing in Coalinga. That's given me firsthand insight on availability, affordability, tenant concerns, and responsibilities that come with property ownership. And my wife is also, she's here today. Some of you might know her, but she's a real estate broker here. She's a lifelong resident of Coalinga as well. Our family is just deeply connected to the local economy and housing market and business environment. Most importantly, I'm a father of 5 children. Some of them were here today. They're probably kind of loud. But my perspective is to shape the future, which they're going to inherit. And that's why I'm here today. I deeply care about our public safety, infrastructure, economic opportunity, education, all within responsible growth. I believe the decision made today not only addresses the immediate needs, but also strengthens the Coalinga and the council for a future generation. As council member, I would bring a steady, grounded approach, focus on listening, collaboration, fiscal responsibility, and action. I'm not seeking a role for recognition, but out of genuine desire to contribute and serve the community during a time of transition. I spent my whole life building trust in this community, working alongside its people, and my investment is for the future of this community. If appointed, I will serve with the integrity, common sense, representing the residents of my district with honesty and dedication and effectiveness. Kalinga has given me and my family so much, and the reason I'm up here today is to give some of that back, and with respect and thoughtfulness, and some of my attributes that I bring from my life experience growing up in Kalinga, knowing my neighbors, working with the businesses, developing my own businesses, raising my family, and being dedicated to belief in God and a belief of doing well towards others. That's all.
Council, any questions?
The same easy question. What has inspired you to do this and serve?
Well, that's a really good question, and it's certainly something that I kind of prepared for, just listening. But I work in industry and agriculture. Well, it's big, but it's small. I work with Harris Wolf, major operations, and I've done work all the way to Yuba City down to Coachella Valley. When I mentioned about Kalinga, everybody looks at us and has nothing but good things to say about the people that live here. They visited Kalinga. Most popular is the DMV, and everybody's really happy and all the positive things to say. And so I like to keep that legacy going, that if somebody else in the future, my kids, their kids, go out somewhere north, in Yuba City or Coachella or in the desert or wherever, and they mention Kalinga, that stays the same.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First off, I want to say I was up in that spot just a few weeks ago, and I want to say you guys brought your A game. It's a hard spot to be in, and I'm proud of you guys. I was proud of myself being up there, and you guys killed it. You guys do very well, and I know you guys, and I'm proud of you guys. Ron, I've watched you for a long time. It's cool. It's cool to see this going on in our city right now. I think we needed it. I think it's very important to have people step up and be involved. When concerns are raised that a decision may affect bias, or how do you evaluate those claims and adjust your approach if needed?
The first word that comes to mind is curiosity. I've been reprimanded by my wife enough where I'm not always right. So, it ends up being a tough night. And so I don't want to have those with other people either. So I think the curiosity of that is, I don't always have to be right. And many minds like this team has is better than just one opinion. And I've done a great job in the field that I am in farming, and being an entrepreneur and struggling and working hard and making a name for myself, where I came across people that are way smarter than me, have a different way of approaching things, a different system structure. And I've learned that, in the last 18 years being in my industry, that there's a lot of talent out there that just needs to be heard, and you just always need to take that back to your whiteboard in your mind and have a curiosity for an open mind. Yeah.
This goes to accountability and follow through. If elected, how will residents be able to measure your success, and how will you respond to the community and how they feel you're not meeting those expectations?
You know, that's one of the, it's unknown because there's, I think for every meeting and every meeting that takes place, every decision that's made, the public, most of Coalinga is unaware. Some of them tune in, right? But I'm a open guy, and most people I know here in Coalinga, growing up here, I like to talk about things. I like to weigh in on things and discuss things open with anybody. And so if they ever have a concern with me or anything of that sort where they don't know how to gauge whether or not I'm doing an appropriate job or my colleagues aren't doing an appropriate job, I think that I would hope that somebody doesn't suffer in silence and comes to me or comes to my team and comes to anybody in my community to ask if, you know, I'm fit for this role, or to question me or to question them. I always tell my kids, like, don't suffer in silence. Come here, come to these meetings, tune in, which I gonna encourage with my group of friends and my community.
Thank you. I'm gonna steal that. Suffer in silence. I relate with you guys. We got big families, and you guys are good dads. And communication, I think that's good. And I'm gonna steal that for sure. That's good.
Thank you.
All right, so you get the other easy question, since you didn't already answer it. It's what are your thoughts on using social media as a city council member representative?
Well, that's gonna, if elected, that's gonna put me in a spot where, you know, I have to be responsible for what I say, how I act, how I behave, and the character that I am, you know, has to align with some of the things that this council needs from me as a person, as a community member, and as a man. So that believes in God. So social media, I only have Facebook, and most of my posts are about my kids, my family, connecting with friends, my college friends, my old friends that moved out of Coalinga. And so I really don't, I don't know how that's gonna work, but I'm gonna rely on you to tell me if elected, and rely on Jeremy, and rely on Lonnie if I can get a hold of him. And the mayor, and that'll be something new for me. So, but as of now, you can go to my Facebook. I'll add you as a friend, and you'll see a lot of baby pictures.
Yeah. Perfect, thank you.
All right. So once again, amazing professionalism in your speech, and it's amazing. I like it that we have people here that you can just tell the passion that they have to serve. Every one of you. I'm going to ask you the same question. The city does the best job that it can in order to make sure that they're doing the best for the public. But as representative of the city, you are the closest avenue to the public. And you're going to get a lot of times where people are going to say, we don't agree with this rate increase, or we don't agree with this animal ordinance, or we don't agree with this. And it's something that the city's worked a long time on. And it really sucks to have to go back to them and say, I know you guys put in all this effort, but we really need to start over, or we need to modify. Are you willing to be that person? Because it's a hard one. It really is, to look at the staff members that have put in a lot of time and effort, and to have to say, hey, my opinion, and it may not be the popular one, is that we need to do better. We need to try and see what we can do better for the population.
Yeah, you know, I just once said that the heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. And so, you know, some things you got to start somewhere. I'd rather disappoint somebody, but do what's best outside of my biased opinion as well. And I think that I'm going to weigh in like with my idea, and Ron said your guts, right? Your intuition of what's right and what's wrong. Well, I don't want to get religious, but I am a man of God, and I do believe that prayer is important, and I do believe that with that comes in some sort of meditation for yourself to think back and reflect on what the right choice or your opinion on something is. I've been fortunate throughout my career to have mentors where they've helped me think outside the box. And some of them are tuned in now. I think my mentality, raising 5 kids, having a household, running a business, dealing with people and tough situations, tough losses, great gains. I think those trials and tribulations have helped me think outside the box.
Thank you.
Council, any additional questions? Nope. We'll turn it over to the audience. The audience now has 10 minutes to ask Mr. Arroyo questions. Are there any questions from the audience? Hearing none, you now have 3 minutes for a closing statement.
Well, first of all, I want to say, thank you for the city council. You guys, have done a great job. I've heard nothing but positive things, and I thank everybody that's here, all the candidates that came and gave their speech, everyone that's participated to make all this happen, and to network with myself, with Pedro, with Ron, and whoever else applied. So thank you for that. I'd like to close out by saying I'm here because I'm running towards something. I'm running towards any sort of issue, any sort of problem, any sort of demand that a person with my experience has something to contribute. And at the end of the day, I think that most of us here are not here for recognition, are not here for an accolade. I think we're here because we love our town and we love our families, and we believe in a good environment for our town, our county and our state. And so what stands out for me is Coalinga has always had that pride, just like Ron said, but also integrity. And so I want to continue on to share that, and so my kids can inherit that, and we provide a safe home for them, a safe town. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. Is there anyone wishing to make a public comment? Hearing none, council will turn it over to you. Each council member will now have the opportunity to nominate one applicant. Are there any?
Absolutely.
Just a reminder, we're not voting on who's going to be appointed. It's just nominations.
I know. I appreciate y'all coming out and speaking. I'm, again, super happy that we have 3 great candidates for this position. Just like Mr. Louder had said, it's an important district. And we need to make sure that we always have somebody out there seeking this position. So I'm glad we had 3 come out tonight. With that, I'm going to nominate Abel Arroyo for the position.
again. Really good to see. Appreciate you guys. It's very encouraging. Ron, you spent a lot of time in the community. You really helped us. I've watched you for a long time. Pedro, working with the community, doing everything you do, it's really appreciated. Abel, I grew up with you, around you, not really friends or anything, but been around. It's cool. Appreciate it. District 5 has its obstacles, and like I said, you gotta fill the boots. I nominate Abel Arroyo.
I want to thank all of you for coming out. Making it pretty difficult. There's only one spot to fill, and everybody brought their A game, so. Do we just nominate? No
We're
matter
gonna
whatever
nominate,
you
and then we're
want?
gonna ask for support after the nomination period.
Okay.
The people who get nominated will move forward to the support round.
Do you need to renominate?
No, so Mr. Arroyo has been nominated. If you would like to nominate one of the other two applicants, you can.
Okay, all right, yeah. So, yeah, with that said, so,
So no nomination from you? No? Well, as I led with, whoever, we can choose one person. We have three great people up here. This actually is really good for District 5, because now I'm hoping that even if, we pick one person, but there's gonna be a chance in November for everyone to run again. And then unfortunately, that will also be a short seat. If you guys don't know this, yes, it will, fortunately. Is that correct, City Attorney?
Yes.
So,
An election on November is a short seat also?
2 of them will be, 2 years.
yeah, because it has to realign with the rest of the districts.
I don't think Lonnie's is.
No?
I call it the
So this
hard
won't,
way.
so it'll be a 4-year?
26.
Okay, so I'm mistaken. So, there will be a chance for everyone to be able to run again. And that will be the people voting on that, not us appointing. So, always liking to see, to see a duel here. I'm going to put Pedro up. And I will nominate Pedro.
Okay, so we have two nominations, Abel Arroyo and Pedro Garcia. We will now proceed to a voice vote. Each council member will have the opportunity to vote for one person.
Abel Arroyo. Mr. Arroyo.
Abel Arroyo.
And in order to keep things clean, we're going to go with Abel Arroyo. Abel, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Now, I would really like to thank everyone who put their name in the hats. I would like to thank all the council that did a lot of work. And I think most of us talked to most of you. And we wanted to make sure that we had a good fit for District 5, because there are, challenges right now and in the future. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I hope that everybody, even though, though you weren't appointed tonight, please, I see your passion for service. Everyone has a passion for service. And, this is us up here. When the public votes, the public will have their say. So it's a short run, and like I said, I appreciate everyone coming forward and doing this, and this really means a lot that we had people of your stature, with your professionalism, that came forward. So thank you very much. Can we give everyone a round of applause? And we will come back next meeting for the swearing in, is that correct?
Yeah, we can do a ceremonial swearing at the meeting, but if he'd like to come by next week. We can get you sworn in and started and get you going prior to the meeting. Yeah.
All right, for those that are still awake, and I want to thank the audience for staying here. I know this has been a long one. We've had these long ones lately. We've been trying to do good, but we have a lot of work we have to do, and we try and do the best for the public. So we're gonna move on to item number 7, which is announcements, city manager's announcements.
I have one. I know there's some, I had circulated some messaging related to the special meeting we had scheduled for the 22nd. And I think I got responses back from everyone. I don't know if I heard a response from you in terms of January 20th or January 21st. We can put it out next week, but I just wanted to see if anybody, I think everyone else was good with Tuesday from what I got responses on. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but if Tuesday works, we can do that. I can talk with Abel as well and see if that will work, because I know there was a conflict on the 22nd. We're running special meetings this month because of the way the January dates.
So the 20th or the 21st would work for me, either one.
Okay, so then and I know that Jeremy was specific Tuesday, so we'll shoot for the 20th, and then I can talk with Abel, make sure that works.
So you want the 20th? Jeremy, the 20th works for you?
Is that Tuesday?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And then, in addition, I know there was a request to do a Brown Act training, and so I was thinking if the council's okay with that, we can do that on February 2nd, or February 5th. I know the code of conduct says no meetings earlier than 5:30. We need about 45 minutes, according to Christina over at the city attorney's office. Would 5 o'clock work okay for anybody on that date? To start just an hour early, we can do the Brown Act training. I'm gonna invite the Planning Commission as well to attend, so they can be a part of that as well. Would that be okay with you guys?
So yeah, I'd probably be about 5 minutes late, but I already have my Brown Act cert for this year, so I think.
We can start at 5:15 probably and still get through it. I know Christina said about 45.
I'll do my best to be here at 5 o'clock.
All right.
And is that gonna work since we have our appointee here?
Does that work, Abel? Yep, 5 o'clock. And 5 o'clock, we're gonna start early and do Brown Act training before the meeting, so it'll be 5 o'clock on the 5th. Great. Okay. I think that's it. Am I missing something? Oh, no, I'll ask you guys afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to council members' announcements and reports.
I just want to say it was good working with you, brother. You did some good things. Hate to see you go. I think we got a good replacement, though, so we'll keep trying to get her done.
Thanks, buddy.
And that's all I have.
I definitely echo that. It's good. Did good. It's exciting news what you're going, and save a cocktail for me.
So I just want to say that Lonnie has actually taught me quite a bit. They keep bringing the social media thing up to keep me off of social media. It's all, just like fuel, right? And it's made me a better person, and I think it's also had a positive effect on the city. Because if people want to do business at the city, this is the place. Come to the city council meetings. You can call us individually, but social media has its challenges legally and and personally as well. So Lonnie has taught me a lot, and specifically with that, and then also, with leadership things that I've been working on myself. And Lonnie's been right there to express to me that, how do you want to look at yourself in the future, and what do you want in the future, and what you do now, and watching others will lead you in that direction. And for that, I very much appreciate that, because not everyone's willing to hold you accountable. Some of the public on social media will, but your people that are closest to you, some of them will not. And so for that, I very much appreciate it, and you will be very greatly missed.
I like doing it in front of people. It works better when when you talk to people. That's huge. The speaking to people, I get so tired of emails, social media talk, all that. It's face to face. That's what makes us better. The challenges we accept, the challenges we challenge our circles. You know, it makes us better. We grow from challenges. We don't grow from people agreeing with us. So and you've done a really good job growing in this position.
Appreciate it. All right, city treasurer's announcements.
I have none this
Oh, you got some more? Oh, do it.
All right, so I got a few notes. I wanted to thank District 5 for allowing me to represent them over the past 3 years. I appreciate it. It was a great experience. I appreciate Ron helping me or talking me into doing it back when all that happened. I appreciate that. This was it was eye-opening being up here and learning how stuff really works and being part of making it work better. I want to thank all the city employees. They do great work every day, the fire department, police department, everybody. Sean has a great team to work with, and he was definitely the correct choice that we made to be at the helm of this ship, to work for our community. So I'm gonna miss all y'all. I appreciate all the city council. You all are great people. You're my friends. You're not just council members. You're all friends, and everybody that's here is. You know, I consider you friends. You're my people. So my big reasons for leaving California and Coalinga, which is where I grew up and was born, is a job opportunity arose in the oil industry in Oklahoma. Basically, it's going to put me back. I get to move back and live on our family farm. Nobody's been there for about 70 years. I think my dad moved out here with my grandparents in the mid-50s. Nobody's lived on it since. It's been in our family since 1932. My great-grandparents bought it, and I'm going back, and it's a good opportunity. And it was all stemmed from the oil jobs in California are vanishing due to our illustrious governor, Gavin Newsom, and our politicians in Sacramento and their war on the oil industry. The overregulation, overtaxing of oil companies are driving prices up, and in turn it's been passed on to the California citizens, which makes it hard for every one of us to survive out here. Taxes, the cost of living is huge, and it's not in the red states because they take care of their people, just like we try to on the city council. I don't feel like our state government represents the people like they should. They represent a small group of people and their own interests. There's not a lot, and I've seen that more being involved, and it's frustrating. I know our city council, our local council here is all here for the right reasons. All of us have been working hard, trying to make a small town better, to navigate challenges, move forward in a positive direction. And I was happy to be a part of that, and I was happy to be a part of this team with everybody here. Thank you.
All right, city treasurer's announcements.
I have none this evening, thank you.
Okay. Mayor's announcements. Working at the Fresno Council of Government. Last night, we concluded our work on the measure, and unfortunately, we could not come to agreement with the county. And the county wanted to, basically, they wanted to, in my opinion, they wanted to delay it. And that wasn't an option for us, and so we have not abandoned the process, but we have done our work. And so I don't see the Measure C moving forward as Measure C. It may be picked up by another group, whether or not, in fact, it might be picked up by two different groups. There's two different competing groups. I can tell you that the problem in between the mayors and the counties was, we said we're not gonna subsidize state roads any longer. It's not happening. The state of California can pay for their own roads, and the feds can help. And the county said, if you take that money away and take us down to 5%, then we're not gonna be able to operate. And we said, you need to go to the state, and you need to get the money from them and the feds, because the amount that we put forward doubled the amount of money coming to the cities, which is where 10 or 11 of the mayors out of the 15 agreed with. So it wasn't even close. It was a super majority of the mayors, including Fresno, Clovis, myself, Firebaugh, Fowler, San Joaquin, almost all of them. There was only a couple that weren't on board. And yes, there were some compromises made, and yes, there were some groups that were brought in that not everyone was happy with. We partnered with bringing in the Transportation for All people, which is a group of advocates, the same people that killed the bill in 2022. But we made the decision to bring them in because we didn't want them to kill the new bill. And so they brought forth all kinds of things that really probably didn't fit the avenues of the smaller cities, like bike lanes everywhere. Even after the money was gone, I mean, even after the need was gone, they still had the need for bike lanes. They still had the need for public transportation, which a couple meetings ago, I expressed about how insufficient that was to Coalinga. We can do it better. And so we made adjustments to those plans. And what it did was it provided flexibility for the cities, the small cities. So the bigger cities, they could keep their public transportation, they could keep their bike lanes, but understanding that it was more important for the smaller cities to get their roads fixed, some of them that have a PCI of 30, like Mendota, it was important that we put that money here. So when you read the news and when you see you have to realize that there's two different groups of developers out there, and one of them is very much in favor of the county's plan, and that's the one that the media is siding with, and they're going to tell you that we wasted $1 million of public money. We didn't. We tried our best to get it to the finish line. I believe that if a group picks it up, they will probably pick up one of the plans that we moved forward with. But it wasn't that we didn't try. We spent an entire year. In fact, Chuck was on the committee. Soldier, let me tell you, that was some battling, wasn't it? It was some battling.
We spent a lot of hours and days and hours working on that, and we fine-tuned it to a perfect thing.
And there was a lot of compromise, right?
Yes.
On all angles. And it was continuous compromise all up until the last hour. And I want to appreciate Chuck for your service on that committee, because I know that was a lot more than you had thought you were going to sign up for. To begin with, there was going to be some Zoom meetings and maybe a little bit of travel, and then it turned into a lot. And I know it's hard because a lot of times we sent them back to the drawing board. And unfortunately, this measure right here provided Coalinga almost $8 million within the time that it was there, and the new measure would have provided with quite a bit more. So you are unlikely to see a Measure C on there, but you may see a different measure. And at the time, we'll probably invite those groups to come and to tell us what those measures are and to try and get the council's and the public support on those. But we'll make sure that we do our due diligence. So sitting on this Measure C committee, I feel like and the COG committee, I feel like that it's my duty to report out. And so every time we've had a meeting, I've tried to report out if there's anything of substance. So that is my announcement. So moving on to future agenda items.
I have something, I don't know if it needs to be a future agenda item, but can we put on our sign, our digital sign down there, I don't know, picture or graphic or something that recognizes America's 250? Yeah? That recognizes America's 250 anniversary. Yeah.
Mine was about the food court. Like we have for the splash pad, We kind of have the sign out saying what's coming with a time frame. I think the food court is very important moving forward, and I want to see the same for the food court so we can rubber stamp when it's coming, what to look forward to, and get the community involved and excited, and light the fire under Sean.
So can I clarify that a little bit? Are you wanting to fast track the food court development? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Can I do an agenda item to make America great again?
And
The city manager.
all right. So yes, we need to make sure, and I want the city staff involved too, because I think it's very important, and city treasurer is always included, to make sure that we have something that we can bond with, and it makes a really good team. And when we're trying to get things done up here, it allows us to see more angles than just a person sitting next to us. And then, this is one for Lonnie. We really need to continue to promote the app. The app. We should have a schedule on Facebook where every 2 days we'll see that.
Maybe that needs to be up on that sign too.
And the app should be on the sign, and let's do some QR codes. QR codes, especially on that sign that we got there. If we do QR codes, people may not be able to stand and read, but they may be able to snap a shot. I don't know if that's gonna be legit with this. Right there, but as they're walking, they're gonna take a QR code sign. But I think we should move into some QR code stuff because we use it at the library and for our printing, and sometimes people didn't know what to do, but now that a lot of them have got into the QR code thing, they come up, they snap the QR code, they're already on their way doing what they need to do. So I'd like to see some QR codes entered into our stuff as well. And then we're going to move to closed session. Unless anybody else has any future agenda items.
Just to piggyback off that, I don't know if it needs to be an agenda item, but the social media aspect, where's that at? I mean, just like utilizing it with the HOC, with the code enforcement, if that's something that we'd be adding.
Yeah, we've already, we've already established all the social media platforms and I can probably bring back just Cindy and kind of give an update on kind of where we're at. I know that was a big priority in hiring the public outreach coordinator. We can probably bring back just kind of an update on kind of where we're at, what our plans are. You brought it up, so I'm going to explain something, but we're starting, she's having bi-weekly meetings with departments just to kind of gather information from departments in terms of what the needs are and what information they want to convey out to the public. So we kind of just are constantly getting feedback. She's preparing content and getting that out on social media. We're starting to get a lot more views on our variety of platforms now that we're on TikTok, X, and Instagram, and Facebook. So, I don't have to, sorry.
All right, so if you guys are tired now, just wait because we get to spend another hour or so in closed session at least. Yes, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Four items.
4 items.
Do we look at reporting anything out?
No, Mayor.
No? All right. Thank you very much for coming.